Sixers, Flyers, Union, and the best Eagles talk in Philadelphia. 97.5, The Fanatic.
And a good Friday morning, Philadelphia. I'm Andrew Salchunas. Thank you. Thank you, Pat. As I get my chair back from Bob. Bob just farts in it all day. Jeez. This is a good way to start a radio show on a Football Friday. Football Fridays on The Fanatic. Presented by who, Pat? Pump Man Philly for 24/7 emergency repair, pump replacement. Count on Pump Man Philly, the guys that know to fix your flow. Would love to get absolutely pumped up that it's a Pump Man Football Friday, but the Eagles don't play till Monday. And so now we got to wait an extra day for the Eagles to play the Chiefs. And so one more day of meandering, talking about first half football, second half football. And so, yes, we're going to have some other topic related to that because it's something that I didn't do during the bye week itself. Because I thought, look, there was so much going on between the Sixers. There was so much going on with the Phillies offseason. And now we're kind of reaching that dead period. That period of, like, there's nothing going on. I was talking to Ray before the show today, and Ray's like, yeah, nothing happened in this day in history either. Like the vault. Like, it's I think November 17th, nothing happens ever in the world, in history. So we're going to talk more about the second half of the season, the first half of the season. So the Eagles kick off the second half on Monday when they take on the Chiefs. Eagles are 8-1, second straight season, top team in the NFL. Not just NFC, but the NFL. But it feels a little different, right? We've been talking about this for the last couple of weeks now. Which 8-1 team would you prefer? This Eagles 8-1 team versus last year's 8-1 Eagles team. Forget that for a second. It does feel different. I don't know if it's a feeling of normalcy because we've now experienced it for a second straight season that the Eagles are one of the best teams in football and they just seem to be a machine and they just win whatever game is in front of them, whether it's a bad team or a good football team or one of the football teams in the league. They just seem to find ways to win. But it feels different this year, almost like an uneasy feeling. And so I have two questions for you to start the show today at 610-632-0975. When it comes to the first half of the season, what was your biggest takeaway, both good and bad? And then for the second half of the season, what is it that needs to change for you to feel like they are legit Super Bowl contenders? Now, there's a reason why I say that. Because I still believe that they are the team to beat in the NFC. I believe that they will get the 1 seed. I believe that they will probably finish with 13 or 14 wins in the regular season. They'll have home field advantage throughout, and I don't think anybody is coming to Philadelphia and beating them. I don't think that. Between home field advantage, between Jalen Hurts being safe with the football, playing so much better as the weeks have gone on this season, guys are now going to be a little bit healthier coming out of the bye week. Jalen Hurts even said that yesterday, that bye week once again came at a great time. He's feeling good. He's not expected to wear the brace in the second half of the season, or at least to start the second half of the season on Monday against the Chiefs. Everything for me is looking up. But we got into a conversation yesterday, Ray and I did, about the secondary. And maybe there's some people out there that are already kind of closing the book on this season, which I think would be ridiculous if you're doing that. But I understand why you would be concerned about the secondary and things moving forward for the Eagles. I understand why you would be concerned about Jalen Hurts' health, which is something that I'm concerned about. I would understand why you're concerned about the health of the offensive line. I would understand why you're concerned about the age of the corners or maybe the lack of a pass rush outside of Hassan Reddick and Josh Sweat. I understand why you would see some things where you go, all right, that's something that needs to improve for me to feel great. And that's why I asked the question. What was the biggest takeaway for you positively and negatively in the first half of the season for the Eagles? And, of course, the negative, what needs to change in the second half. But legit Super Bowl contenders. Are they? Are the Eagles legit Super Bowl contenders? And when I say that, I mean there is not even a second of hesitation for you when you say yes. Because I know when I say, hey, do you think the Eagles are a Super Bowl contender? You're probably like, yeah, of course they are. But then when I ask you to explain why, I wonder if there's a bit of a hesitation for you. So basically, as we are getting closer, finally, Monday night, can't wait to see the Eagles take on the Chiefs. There are still questions that need to be answered for all of us, for us to feel great. I do feel great. I know it. I talk about it every single day. I hope I express that enough for you as you listen. But just getting a sense from the people, talking to callers, interacting on social media, see how people tweet during game days. It seems like there might be a little bit of sense of doubt in the back of the minds of Eagles fans all across the city. So answer me the question at 610-632-0975. Are the Eagles legit, no doubt in your mind, Super Bowl contenders? Or is there something that's still bothering you, something that you need to see in the second half of the season that you are almost afraid to admit? Because it has been a weird year. If I can go through the first 9 weeks of the season, right? I'll pull it up right now. I'll pull up the Eagles' schedule going back to week 1 when they took on the Patriots. The storylines this year. Oh, man, the Eagles barely beat Mac Jones and the Patriots. I'm worried about Sean Desai and that defense. And, man, that offense looked like it had no creativity to it. All right. Like, nothing that has been said by Eagles fans this season has been wrong, other than maybe going as far as saying Brian Johnson wasn't a good hire. There was a nepotism hire. There were a lot of people that were all of a sudden believing that Jalen Hurts. We took a caller earlier in the season. I still remember it. That was like, man, he only had one good season his entire career. He lost his job in Alabama. He goes to Oklahoma. Obviously drafted in the second round, and was coming up with all these reasons as to why Jalen Hurts was not the guy and should not have gotten paid. Now that guy has since not called in because Jalen Hurts has had a great season ever since that Rams game. Well, ever since the Commanders game before that. So the Patriots game. Too many yards allowed to Mac Jones. No creativity offensively. Why is Kenneth Gainwell getting the ball so much? Week 2, man, DeAndre Swift looked good, but, man, you almost blew that lead. The Eagles are not blowing out a team yet this year, right? And we're through 9 games. Then you get to the Bucs game. Man, thank God for that defense because the offense looks stagnant. He had one good throw. Olamide Zaccheaus, touchdown pass. Do you guys remember in the red zone? And, oh, by the way, first 3 weeks of the season, what are we complaining about the most? Red zone offense. Eagles beat the Commanders in week 4. Man, it took overtime to beat the Commanders. Sam Howell looked like Peyton Manning against you. Finally, in week 5, you had a game where I think everybody had a collective sigh of relief when the Eagles beat the Rams. But that red zone issue was still there. And then as high as we were after that win, they lost to the Jets. And Hurts played a good first half, played a very poor second half. The offensive game plan was terrible. I know they were going up against a good defense, and that's when a lot of the Brian Johnson heat started. That was probably the biggest game where Brian Johnson got crushed the most because they only scored 14 points to the Jets and lost. But then you blink and they win Sunday Night Football against the Dolphins. This roller coaster ride continued. That team, the Eagles, the Brian Johnsons, the Sean Desais, Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, Kenneth Gainwell at the end with a touchdown run, seemed to shut up all of Philadelphia. And then the following week, you barely beat the Commanders again. And then you beat the Cowboys, and they were, 4 yards shy of winning it? And everybody's now ripping Sean Desai for having Eli Ricks on CeeDee Lamb in the slot. All these things that you have complained about through the first 9 weeks of the season, accurate. You've had every right to complain about things through the first 9 weeks of the season. But when I step back, I keep on going back to what I've been saying ever since the bye week started. The Eagles are the least flawed amongst all the flawed teams in the NFL. And that's why they are still the best team in the NFL. That's why, to me, they are a clear-cut Super Bowl contender. But I feel like a lot of you still have doubt in the back of your mind and have been unwilling to admit that. So here's what I want to do for you today on this Football Friday at 610-632-0975. We have the rest of the weekend. And then Monday night kicks off the second half of the season. And it's a pretty damn good way to kick off the second half of the season with a rematch of the Super Bowl from just this past February between the Eagles and the Chiefs. I want to use today to basically clear your conscience. I want you to wash away all your feelings today. What is it that may still be providing you doubt in the back of your mind with the Eagles this second half of the season? Let's get it out in the open. Let's talk about it and see how they will improve on the second half of the season, because I believe that they will. This gauntlet, this terrible stretch that's ahead of them. Man, I see 2 losses, maybe? Maybe 1? I think they win Monday night. 610-632-0975. Also, Tim McManus is going to be joining the show coming up at 12 o'clock. And ESPN did something pretty cool. So ESPN, we did this with the Cowboys game. Remember, there was the 5 biggest questions going into Eagles-Cowboys. They did the 15 biggest questions going into Eagles-Chiefs. But it wasn't just Tim McManus and whoever covers the Chiefs for ESPN.com. It was all their NFL people, because they are saying that this is the most anticipated game across the entire schedule of the entire NFL. Not just week 11, the entire league, the entire season. This has been the most anticipated game all season long. So ESPN.com, it was an ESPN Plus thing. So don't worry. I'll be your hack. All right, I'll go through because I know not everybody has ESPN Plus. So I'll get that for you coming up next. 610-632-0975. Is there doubt in the back of your mind that these Eagles are not that, superior opponent to everybody else where you go, yes, they are the team that's getting back to the Super Bowl? I believe that they still are. But I can sense that a lot of you still have a little bit of doubt. Let's discuss it. Coming up next right here, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
Another weekend without the birds. I'm Ray Dunn. This update is brought to you by Bradford White Water Heaters. You may always need a new water heater, but when you do, choose Bradford White. We're still waiting for Eagles football after the bye week. The Birds return to action Monday night in Kansas City against the Chiefs. So another Sunday for you without the Eagles. Jalen Hurts did not wear a brace at practice on Thursday. Bradley Roby and Cam Jurgens were both full participants in practice on Thursday as they worked their way back. Tim McManus will join the show to talk all things Eagles. Get you set for the matchup with the Chiefs on Monday Night Football coming up at noon right here on the show. Elsewhere in the world of football, the Ravens with a big win over the Bengals on Thursday Night Football, 34-20. The big news out of that one, Joe Burrow hurt in that one, exited the game and did not return. 76ers back in action in Atlanta tonight against the Hawks. This is the third game of the in-season tournament for the Sixers. They'll be without Nicholas Batum, and Joel Embiid is listed as questionable right now. Catch the live call right here at 7:30 p.m. on 97.5 The Fanatic. Flyers ride a 3-game winning streak into their game with the Vegas Golden Knights on Saturday afternoon. You catch the live call of that one at 1 o'clock on WMMR. This update is also brought to you by GoodAC.com. Whether you're looking for air condition installation, heating repairs, or just preventive maintenance, Good Air Conditioning and Heating does it all. An authorized York dealer, you're in good hands at GoodAC.com. Keep it locked here for the latest news and information. I'm right on the home for the Sixers, Flyers, and Union. 97.5 The Fanatic.
Win a free trip or two to Spring Training 2024. The Titans will be back, and it all starts in Clearwater. Listen weekdays at 8 a.m., noon, and 4 p.m. for your chance to win a $25 Rally House gift card and qualify for a 3-day getaway to spring training in March, courtesy of Philly Sports Trips. The trip includes airfare, a stay at the beautiful AC Hotel in Clearwater Beach, a VIP party, and game tickets. For complete details and another chance to win, go to 975thefanatic.com. Win a trip to spring training 2024. Weekdays at 8, noon, and 4. Presented by Rally House. Your city, your house. PhillySportsTrips.com. Travel with the pros. And 97.5 The Fanatic.
Hey, it's Ricky Metallico to tell you about our friends at Schwartz Culleton. You've heard their ads and their iconic phone number for years. 1-800-JUSTICE. When you've been injured in a car accident, there is no greater resource than an experienced lawyer. The lawyers at Schwartz Culleton have well over 100 years combined experience prosecuting claims on behalf of individuals injured in car accidents. They have helped over 10,000 clients obtain the justice they deserve. The firm has become a bedrock of the Philadelphia community and the surrounding suburbs. From start to finish, they'll help you get your car repaired and ensure you have all the best doctors for your injuries. They have relationships with the top medical specialists and have a strong reputation with the insurance companies. There is no doubt you'll get justice if you call 1-800-JUSTICE. Again, that's 1-800-JUSTICE. Call 1-800-JUSTICE today.
Hey, it's Jen Scordo. As the weather gets colder, the NFL offers Stay Hot on FanDuel in partnership with Valley Forge. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 moneyline bet. That's $150 if your team wins. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on all the action. The app is so easy to use. There's a huge range of betting options like overs and unders and player props and spreads. Looking forward to Monday Night Football and our own home team in Kansas City. Build a same-game parlay around player props, a Jalen Hurts anytime touchdown, A.J. Brown to score first, and I like a Philadelphia win. It's pretty simple. So go visit FanDuel.com/Scordo. That's FanDuel.com/Scordo. FanDuel is an official partner of the NFL.
1-1 Plus and President PA. First online real money wager only. $5 pregame money line wager required. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued is non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Individual rates, offerings, and savings may vary, subject to terms and conditions. Not available in all states and situations.
Hey, small business owner. Are you ready to have the best year ever in 2024? When's the last time you checked your workers' comp rate? For many small businesses, workers' comp insurance is one of their biggest costs. But Pi Insurance could save you up to 30% in just 3 minutes. Go to trypi.com, share a few details about your business, and get a quote that's customized for your business. No hassles or hidden fees. We know you're busy, but spending just a few minutes to check your rate could make this your best year ever. Plus, when you sign up for pay-as-you-go billing, your premium is based on your actual payroll, not an estimate. So your workers' comp audit experience is simplified. See how much you could save with Pi Insurance. Ask your agent for Pi or get a quote at trypi.com. That's TRYPIE.com.
It's John Kincaid. We wanted a jaw-dropping backyard paradise. We went to Landis Block and Concrete. LandisBC.com on the web. They have a beautiful showroom in Souderton, Pennsylvania. They call it a store. We call it a showroom because it showcased all of their beautiful materials. We hired our own contractor, but Landis Block knew every single contractor in like a 5-county area that could have done it for us. You need imagination, space, and a budget. But what you really need is Landis Block and Concrete. Go to LandisBC.com on the web.
I'm David Keller from David Auto, and what a great time to be a Philly sports fan. Man, I love Philly sports, and I love being your car dealer. Getting my clients the cars they want at the right price is a passion of mine. Cars for every facet of your life, and some of the hottest cars on the planet. So if you're listening, I can be your dealer. For years, you've told me how to be your dealer. I'm just the guy that listens. Enjoy your family, your friends, and our Philly sports, and when you need me and my amazing team, we'll be there for you. Because after all, I have always been your car dealer. You just didn't know it.
Jim Gaffigan here with some more straight talk. Let's take a moment to appreciate our sweet children, loving grandparents, and eternal soulmates. Now let's use them to save money on wireless. Because with the Straight Talk Silver Plan, you get 4 lines for just $25 a month with unlimited data and no contracts. So add those human pawns, loved ones, and save money. Thanks, kids. They're finally worth it. Straight Talk Wireless, available at Walmart.
Get 4 lines on Silver Unlimited for $25 per line per month, plus taxes and fees. For data management practices and additional terms, visit straighttalk.com.
O'Reilly. When you need auto parts, O'ReillyAuto.com is just a click away. We offer convenient options for you to get your parts, tools, accessories, and supplies quickly. Order online and pick up for free at your local O'Reilly Auto Parts store, or you can have your parts delivered right to your door with shipping on most orders over $35. Visit O'ReillyAuto.com.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Comcast Business is introducing the Small Business Bonus. For a limited time, you can get up to a $1,000 prepaid card with a qualifying gig bundle when you switch to Comcast Business, the company with the largest, fastest, reliable network. Don't wait. Call or go online to learn about the $1,000 bonus today. Comcast Business, powering possibilities.
Ends 12/5/2023. New customers with Gigabit Extra Internet, Security Edge, One Voice Mobility Line, and Connection Pro or Wi-Fi Pro with 2-year agreement. Other restrictions apply. Call or go online for details.
Your Philadelphia Union are moving on to their 3rd consecutive Eastern Conference semifinal after sweeping the New England Revolution in round 1. The Union will face off against number 1 seeded FC Cincinnati in the Audi 2023 MLS Cup Playoffs Eastern Conference semifinal in Cincinnati. The match is set for Saturday, November 25th at 8 p.m. Don't miss the action. Listen to the Union games on 97.5 The Fanatic, the Fanatic app, or on your smart speaker. Watch every Union game all season long on MLS Season Pass, presented by Live Casino and Hotel, Philadelphia.
This is an important notice to consumers facing $10,000 or more in credit card debt, medical bills, or other unsecured debt. You may not be required to pay it all back because there are special programs now in effect that will significantly reduce the amount you will owe if you qualify. This is not bankruptcy or a debt consolidation loan. These programs, which the credit card companies like to keep secret, exist to aid American consumers struggling with overwhelming credit card debt by offering tremendous savings and real debt relief. Accredited Debt Relief has established a special hotline for you to call and learn what savings you qualify for. They've helped qualify consumers with over $1 billion in debt and are A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau. So don't wait. Get the relief you need during these hard economic times. For this free information, call the Accredited Debt Relief Hotline now. Call 800-205-3400. 800-205-3400. 800-205-3400.
Jim McManus plays on one station in Philly, 97.5, The Fanatic.
1021, 97.5 The Fanatic. I'm Andrew Salchunas. 10 o'clock hour brought to us by Window Nation. Take advantage of Window Nation's 50% off sale on all style windows. Plus, make no down payment with no payments and no interest for 12 full months. Call 866-98Nation or visit windownation.com. Eagles Chiefs 15 biggest questions. ESPN put together. They used all of their NFL analysts to answer all 15 questions. So we'll get to those coming up in a little bit. But I want to also talk to you at 610-632-0975. Eagles, biggest takeaway from the first half, good and bad, and what they obviously need to improve on in the second half for you to say that they are legit Super Bowl contenders, because I believe a lot of you have a slight, just a little bit of doubt. Like you hesitate to say, no, they're going to win. They're going to win. No, they'll win. And so I got a tweet from Dawood during the break. He said, you're saying it best, Jonas. It's basically all the inconsistencies through the first half. Questions everywhere. Defensive coordinator, offense and defense from the eye test. Number one, must in the middle of the field, slot and linebacker coverage. So you hear that. That's something that we've been complaining about since week one. Everything, right? Not just the middle of the field defense, but everything. We've complained about Brian Johnson. We've complained about Sean Desai. We've complained about Jalen Hurts. We've complained about the offensive line. We've complained about the defensive line and the secondary. We've done a lot of complaining for a team that's 8-1, which is why I can't help but think a lot of you may have a little bit of doubt in the back of your mind. I don't, all right? Because I think with all the flaws that they do have, I still believe that they are the least flawed team amongst all the other teams in the NFL. The flaws for the Eagles, I don't think hold them back, which is why I think they win Monday night against the Chiefs. The Chiefs, they're not a perfect team. They're not the Chiefs of yesteryear. They're not the Chiefs of old. They're not the Chiefs that beat you in the Super Bowl back in February. Their offense is struggling so much. It's almost like you forget that the defense has been the reason why they're 7-2 this year. Their offense has struggled so much. The Eagles' offense has not. The Eagles' defense, have they allowed teams to seem to get hot at times? Yeah, of course they have. But the Chiefs' offense has been so poor this year. And look, I still respect Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes, and I'm not going to say this is a walk in the park. I have the Eagles winning by 3 in a low-scoring game. They just don't have enough firepower offensively to get over some of their other flaws, whereas the Eagles do. The Eagles can have a bad game defensively and still win. The Eagles can have a bad game offensively and still win. Bad game in the air, bad game on the ground, bad game protecting Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts could be hobbling up into the line of scrimmages like he was the last 3 weeks before the bye week. All those could happen, and yet the Eagles still find ways to win. But I do believe a lot of you have a little bit of doubt. Ray, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Is there any doubt? And don't be afraid to say it. Like, it's not like you have to be super Eagles fans, say, no, it's almost like when we talk about our feelings. We should talk about our feelings. Like if there's something that's beating you up on the inside, you shouldn't keep it on the inside. You should talk about it with people, whether it's a friend, family member, therapist, you name it. It's kind of the same thing when it comes to the Eagles right now. Totally different circumstances. Like if you have legit issues in your life, talk about them. But
right now,
when it comes to, the floor is yours. When it comes to sports talk, I think a lot of times we put the green-colored glasses on and ignore the flaws. The flaws are there. The flaws are real. I just think they are lesser flawed than other teams in the NFL. But do you have any doubt in the back of your mind? Like, do you sit here today on November the 17th, 3 days before the Eagles play Monday night against the Chiefs, where you go, oh, no, they're going to make it to the Super Bowl, and I have no doubt about that?
No, there's doubt there. Of course there's doubt there. I think you'd be doing yourself a disservice not to at least be questioning whether or not there is the potential for these flaws to catch up with them. I think last year, the way it started, the way it went, it almost went too perfectly for the way like we enjoyed it.
Yes.
Like it was, we have to search for it. I don't think there is a search for the flaw for this team this year. There are a number of them out there. I think the best part about the early going of this season is the rest of the league, is the fact that you can look around and comfort yourself in knowing that, the Chiefs won the Super Bowl last year. Yeah, the Chiefs right now, best team in the AFC, the whole thing. And they are also a flawed group. You know, you look at what you've seen, whether it be, you know, as it played last night, you thought the Ravens-Bengals would be good going into the season. They've shown you flaws. Like, you see a lot of the best teams in the league having. That's the best part of me for the early part of the season, is that you've been able to overcome it better than anyone else. But I think certainly there's a question of, okay, health-wise, will they get healthy enough? You know, Roby getting back, Blankenship
and
being able to...
And is Roby good?
Right.
Right, like he stepped in and played nicely, right? And then he got hurt. And here we are sitting here. We're pining for a dude that wasn't on an NFL roster to start the season.
Yes. No, I'm fully aware of where I've now gotten with this guy, where it's...
Right.
And might be too many eggs in that basket, but it's kind of the only basket I've got right now. And so that's why I'm going to have to run with it and make it happen, because whether it be his health, Blankenship being able to stay healthy for multiple games in a row and being able to keep himself out there, Byard learning, you know, what he needs to do in this defense and kind of figuring out his best place amongst these guys, and obviously the corners playing up to the potential you want. Like, the secondary is a big concern. I will still go with the middle of the field, because I know people, you know, I know you're a little bit higher on what you've seen from Cunningham. You know, Morrow, they've been solid for expectation. Problem was, my expectation was incredibly
low. I'm very curious. Look, I make no bones about it. It's a shame that Nakobe Dean is hurt. I'm very curious to see how it looks now that it's these two guys for what I believe would be the rest of the regular season. Like, they know that they're playing. They know that they're going to be the linebackers on the field. It could end up being terrible. But these are two veteran guys that have had, I would say, more success than Dean this year.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he's had very limited time because he was hurt at the beginning of the season. Then he comes back only for a couple of games. But I'm curious to see, like you said, the expectations are so low. Like, I'm not expecting Ray Lewis and Terrell Suggs out there. You know what I mean?
Right.
But I'm not expecting Nate Gary, the White Snake.
Yes.
Like, I'm expecting professional linebacker play.
Right. And that's a justifiable expectation. But on that side, like, it's okay to have a shred of doubt when it comes to those guys. And that, like, things that can be exploited. You know, we're talking about a matchup with Travis Kelce in this game, and we were questioning whether or not they could stop Ferguson against the Cowboys. Like, there's legitimate things where I sit here, okay, you know, is this something that'll work for them? You know, the other side of the football, Hurts' health is probably just kind of the one shred of doubt you have, and he's not wearing a brace now. He said the bye came at a great time. He reiterated that message. You know, he's clearly not the only quarterback in the NFL that's been dealing with something that hasn't popped up on an injury report.
We're going to talk about that, by the way.
Okay.
Let's get into it right now. Sure. And Eagles conversation on the table. This NFL, it goes back to what Jamie and I talked about during the summer. It's a Titan that will never come crumbling down, right? It's not going to be Rome. Like, it's not going to fall, right? The NFL will forever be superior. But my God, so Joe Burrow, if you guys just didn't see it, there's a video of Joe Burrow before yesterday's game with a brace on his right hand. And I think the Bengals team account actually tweeted it out because it was like them getting off a bus or something. And then they deleted it because people noticed the brace on his throwing hand. And Joe Burrow never appeared on the injury report. Just like earlier this year, Bijan Robinson never appeared on the injury report. Do I think Arthur Smith had Bijan's under in rushing yards? No, I don't believe that. Do I believe that like the owner of the Bengals had the under in Joe Burrow passing yards yesterday? No, I don't believe that. The problem is the ties with gambling in terms of league sponsorships. I do FanDuel reads throughout the day, the official partner of the NFL, right? So now here's my question. A lot of people are upset saying that, you know, bets should be refunded because the Bengals weren't honest with the injury report. And I understand that it is league rules to put, you know, if somebody's banged up, they have to be on the injury report. Even as little as rest, right? Like, we've seen that. The Eagles have put out Jason Peters did not practice for like the last 5 years of his career here in Philadelphia because of rest. Same with Fletcher Cox the last couple of seasons. Joe Burrow never appeared on the injury report. He then leaves the game because of the injury that he clearly sustained last week. What happened to hiding injuries? Because that used to be a thing in sports, still is in hockey. Lower body injury. Is that the thigh, the knee, ankle, toe, calf, quad? They don't want to really put it out there because they don't want opposing teams to go after that specific part of the body to mess them up a little bit. So if I'm the Bengals, he was just wearing a brace on his hand. Just precautionary. We don't think there was anything wrong with it. But now people think their bet should be refunded. And if I had a Joe Burrow ticket in yesterday, I'd probably be a little annoyed with myself or a little disappointed that we didn't know the truth of Joe Burrow. But, dude, I don't know. The NFL clearly has a problem here. But I don't blame the Bengals for not putting on an injury report. That's kind of sports, is it not?
A little competitive advantage.
Right. Now, you have to put him on the injury report, but, sometimes Joel Embiid is questionable 82 games out of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Right? He might not be hurt for 75 of them. He might feel totally healthy for 75 of those games, but he's on the injury report. Questionable. Does anyone really believe that he's hurt half the time? Or is it just hey, we'll see how he's feeling when he comes in the next day? What happened to sports hiding injuries? I mean, it's kind of what we've done our whole lives, no?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's anything crazy out of the ordinary. It's just now that there's an investigation open to it. It's
I just wonder how this plays out because of the gambling thing. If they're not partnered with FanDuel, if there's no ads running during games, then it's all right, whatever. But I wonder, did somebody out there have a Joe Burrow ticket yesterday that didn't hit, and now you're feeling a certain type of way that the Bengals didn't report that injury? Whereas, Jalen Hurts might have something going on with the knee, or he doesn't. Or he does, but nobody knows about it. He doesn't answer the questions. He refuses because he doesn't have to answer the questions. Why does he not have to answer the question, but why do they have to put it on the injury report?
Well, that's the one thing. I'm not making any sweeping statements for a number of reasons on this one. One of them being, hey, if they're opening up that conversation about Burrow, I know we've been talking about a brace for Hurts. He finally did pop up on the injury report once. One time. And that was after the incredibly cryptic post-game conversation surrounding what he was going through and A.J. Brown not putting his business out there.
Yeah, not putting his business out there. That's his business or whatever.
Yeah.
And Nick Sirianni talking about how tough he is, and he's playing. Oh, yeah, he's playing through some stuff.
And then all of a sudden he popped up on the injury report once.
Yeah.
Once. The Bengals right now, and sorry for you out there in Cincinnati, you kind of seem like the sacrificial, team to deal with this right now because I think we'd be naive to think it's just the Bengals that aren't reporting stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying.
It's the only reason
sports.
The only reason it's conversation is because it's Burrow. If it's
because it's Thursday night, it's the only game of the week.
Yep, and he's out. And
you see him try to throw a football on the sideline, and his hand hurts.
Right,
and he crumbles to the ground in pain.
Yeah, it's I think he's not if it's their left guard, is it the story? Left guard comes out of the game. He was going through something. He wasn't on the injury report. Oh well, that. I mean, I think that's just the national reaction to it because it's Burrow, because it's the national stage, and because it was so in your face what happened. That's where the conversation becomes today, which is why I think the Bengals will probably be the ones sacrificed to.
Well, they'll get fined something.
This.
Well, didn't the Falcons did get something earlier this year? They got money fine, out of the team account.
By the way, I will say, I know you were saying this in jest. I kind of convinced myself that Arthur Smith does have the under in Bijan rushing yards this season.
Because you think he's gonna be out soon, so he's gonna make it big first.
Wouldn't be the first one in the Falcons facility.
That's
to be
true.
Throwing around some bets.
That's a good point. Producer's got a point.
I got the windy fingers up on this one. What is going on?
So let me add, I want you to answer the question. It's 610-632-0975. On top of the Eagles conversation, are they legit Super Bowl contenders where you don't have a little bit of doubt in your mind? And if you do have doubt, that's fine. Explain to me why you have a little bit of doubt. But when it comes to this gambling situation, everybody wants their ticket refunded, which ESPN Bet, the new, I can't believe they started one, but ESPN Bet has their own. That's their sports book, ESPN Bet. Greeny did it was Greeny's bet or whatever, his bet of the day or whatever.
Greeny's green.
Yeah, it was like over 500 yards combined passing between Lamar Jackson and Joe Burrow. They did void all those bets. Now, ESPN Bet is a brand new sports book, so they're going to, try to make people happy at the very beginning. I don't know what the league rule is. I don't know, or I do know what the league rule is. The league rule is to put injuries on the injury report, but if you're also doing the competitive advantage thing, you don't want a defensive end knowing that his right hand is banged up, so they're going to try to swat at it.
I mean, I just feel like this is like the equivalent of tampering. It's like, don't make it too obvious. Don't give me like. There's so many rules in sports that exist but aren't really there. Like, how does this get done, or when it comes to the injuries, how do you end up with a player getting hurt that was already hurt but was on the injury report? It's like everyone does this thing. Right. It's just one that's getting caught. And it just feels like the Bengals find themselves in a situation where it was too blatantly obvious. And it's like, if we don't act on this one, then we open up, Pandora's box.
There's a lot of interesting stuff going on right now. So if you had a Joe Burrow ticket yesterday and it didn't hit, how you feeling today? Like, do you believe that your bet should be voided? Because let's face it, we do a pick segment every Friday at 1:30. Like, betting is now, I know there's a lot of people who don't bet, but there's a lot of people that do bet. And betting has become a big talking point in sports talk radio, sports television. I mean, there are networks now. FanDuel has its own network. ESPN has its own show daily. I think it's called like the Daily Bet or something like that, or the Daily Line. Like, there are betting shows everywhere. And so everybody does bet. Or a lot of people do bet. So I want to hear from you. If you did have a Joe Burrow ticket, do you feel a certain type of way today? Because on the Bengals, I would try to hide that information too, because I don't want the opposing team to know that. And then, of course, the Carissa Thompson situation that's going on. I would love to hear from you on that. Like, there's all of a sudden a lot going on in the NFL that's not just in terms of play. Carissa Thompson should be ashamed of herself. She should be. We talked about it yesterday, and we had fun with, are all these reports fake? Like, I always forget the date. Chris Myers. Has Chris Myers, over his long career, made up reports, when they would send it down to him? Or is she alone? And then if she's alone, like, she should be ashamed of herself, and she should be fired for it. I'm sorry. Like, that's journalistic integrity. And what's crazy, I really do love the amount of women reporters that came out there yesterday and were vocal about it. Because let's face it, man, this is a tough industry to get into, period. We do know it's a very difficult industry to get into for women across sports. And so that job right there, like, my God, like, that's disrespectful to thousands upon thousands upon thousands of people, not just women in sports, people in sports, that you're making up false things on the sideline. And then, of course, the amount of people that look up to her, specifically women in sports. I mean, dude, so Ray, you do play-by-play for Temple women's basketball. Would you ever pretend that you spoke to the coach before the game about a specific player?
No. And even things in which are said with the coach at some points for me are like, if I am not 100% where I didn't have it written down in the notes that was said, I'm not going there with that.
You're not just going to try to say it.
No.
I'm still shocked. I know Big Cat, that was the podcast she was on. It was his podcast. He started tweeting about how people took it out of context. Sometimes the terms out of context, like Merrill Kelly. Oh, you guys took it out of context. No, we didn't. No, we didn't. You said it won't be as loud as the World Baseball Classic. That's basically what you said. The whole out of context thing. She said that she sometimes made up false reports. And journalistic integrity, and one of the things that I saw a lot yesterday on social media is that nobody believes media in the first place nowadays. And now you're admitting to it? That's scary times, man. And I know, trust me, I know. Half the time it's a waste of time. I spoke to the coach. They need to get off third down better. Like, that stuff is like, okay, whatever. But then there is legit stuff that you need to know in terms of injuries. And then there are good stories. Like, there are some sideline reporters that seem to do a lot more work than Carissa Thompson.
That's the one scary thing about this is it'll open up a can of worms for networks to look at this and be like, well, we found something that just seems like it's unnecessary in today's day and age. And slice, there goes a ton of jobs. There goes a ton of people that actually are doing the work, actually putting it in. Because we got into it yesterday. What do some of these reports actually bring you? And I made the point of, like, I think there's a reimagining of the role and more storytelling and all that stuff that I think is a really good piece of it. Analysis piece that you can do it. Like, maybe the quick hit of, like, I talked to the coach could be more of a quick hit of, hey, this is something that needs to change and give me a little bit of a different vantage point from the field.
Yeah.
Or reading, body language. But it's really tough when one of the people that hold one of the top jobs in that profession basically gives you 30 seconds of why they feel the profession might not be necessary.
Yeah, straight up said that she made up reports. And then, then obviously the question is, do other people do this too? Which is unfortunate because there's a lot of hardworking people out there in this industry. I know it's a fun job, but it is a grind. All right, I want to hear from you on all kinds of topics. Eagles second half, the gambling situation, because the Bengals did not put Joe Burrow in their injury report, and clearly he was dealing with something, and he goes out, and now people are upset. And AU on Twitter makes a great point. The problem with betting is some books will only void if Burrow was one leg short. What about all the Bengals pass catcher lines? Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase has that connection. Joe Burrow's backup and Jamar Chase might not, so his lines would change. It affects everything on the offense. So would love to hear your thoughts on this Joe Burrow situation, the Cincinnati Bengals, and the gambling situation, the Carissa Thompson situation. We got a whole bunch of stuff so far in store today. 610-632-0975. And also we get the Vault coming up at 11 o'clock, all right here, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
Still awaiting an Eagles game. I'm Ray Dunn. This update is brought to you by Wendy's. Breakfast 2 for $3 Biggie Bundles. With Wendy's new Breakfast 2 for $3 Biggie Bundles, you can choose the pair you want. Limited time only during breakfast hours. U.S. price participation may vary. Not valid in a combo. Single item at regular price. We're still waiting for Eagles football. Coming off of the bye week, the Birds return to action Monday night in Kansas City against the Chiefs in a Super Bowl rematch around 15 days between Eagles games. Jalen Hurts did not wear a brace at practice on Thursday. Elsewhere in injury news, Bradley Roby and Cam Jurgens were both full participants in practice on Thursday. Tim McManus will join the show coming up at noon to talk all things Eagles. Get you set for the matchup with the Chiefs. Of course, that again at noon. He will join Andrew elsewhere in the NFL. Ravens with a big win over the Bengals on Thursday night football, winning 34-20. The big story out of that one, Joe Burrow leaving the game early after a touchdown, did not return in the second half. 76ers back in action in Atlanta tonight against the Hawks. It's the third game of the in-season tournament for the Sixers. They'll be without Nicholas Batum. And Joel Embiid currently listed as questionable. You catch the live call right here at 7:30 on 97.5 The Fanatic. Flyers riding a 3-game winning streak into their game with the Vegas Golden Knights on Saturday afternoon. Catch the live call, that one at 1 on WMMR. Keep it locked here. For all the latest news and information, I'm right down the home for the Sixers, Flyers, and Union. 97.5 The Fanatic.
The best show ever. Opinion and conversation on Philly's hot sports topics. Tyrone Johnson, Ricky Batalico, and Jennifer Scordo. This afternoon at 2. 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Hey guys, Andrew. As the weather gets colder, the NFL offers Stay Hot on FanDuel in partnership with Valley Forge. Right now, new customers can get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 moneyline bet. That's $150 if your team wins. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get on all the action. The app, super easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, over-unders, and more. And I know you're probably nervous saying, well, I need my bet to actually hit for me to get the $150. Bet the $5 on the biggest money line favorite there is. There's no way you're going to lose. $5 turns $150. So visit FanDuel.com/Fanatic. That's FanDuel.com/Fanatic and kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, the official partner of the NFL.
21 plus in President PA. First online real money wager only. $5 pregame moneyline wager required. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
This week's Pro to Watch is brought to you by Bradford White. Bradford White water heaters are built to be the best. This week's Pro to Watch, well, it's really easy because it's a huge week for your Birds. Heading out to Kansas City for Monday Night Football, but it's really for the rest of the season moving on. Jalen Hurts has been playing at a level that continues to amaze our fan base. But there have also been a ton of turnovers. That's all got to change. If this team wants to play in Vegas, that needs to change quickly.
Bradford White water heaters have always been built to be the best, loaded with innovative features that separate them from the rest. And now, Bradford White tank-style water heaters give you additional peace of mind with Microban antimicrobial protection. How you heat your water matters, so don't settle for anything less than the proven performance of a Bradford White, the only water heaters with Microban antimicrobial technology. Visit BradfordWhite.com to learn more and to find an installation pro near you.
In order for small businesses to thrive, they need to be smart, efficient, savvy, staying ahead of the market at every turn, finding ways to do more with less, and taking advantage of every opportunity that comes their way. That's why Comcast Business is introducing the Small Business Bonus. For a limited time, you can get up to a $1,000 prepaid card with a qualifying gig bundle when you switch to Comcast Business, the company with the largest, fastest, reliable network. Yep, you heard that right. 1,000 back. Something extra for your company. From the company that powers more businesses than anyone else. So if you're a small business owner, don't wait. Call or go online to learn about the $1,000 bonus today. Comcast Business, powering possibilities.
Ends 12/5/2023. New customers with Gigabit Extra Internet, Security Edge, One Voice Mobility Line, and Connection Pro or Wi-Fi Pro with 2-year agreement. Other restrictions apply. Call or go online for details.
Do you struggle with occasional nerve aches in your hands or feet? Try Nervive Nerve Relief from the world's #1 nerve care company. Nervive tablets contain alpha-lipoic acid to relieve nerve aches, weakness, and discomfort, plus B-complex vitamins to support healthy nerve function as you age. Live life with less nerve discomfort with Nervive Nerve Relief. Learn more at nervivehealth.com. And try Nervive Pain Relieving Cream to block nerve pain signals at the source. Use as directed.
Did you know gas goes bad in as little as 30 days? Bad gas can cause rough starts, poor performance, or no starts at all. Stable, America's #1 fuel stabilizer, ensures quick and easy starts after storage. Stable's proprietary formula keeps fuel fresh for 2 years, outperforming competitors. Whether it's your car, truck, boat, lawnmower, leaf blower, weed trimmer, ATV, motorcycle, or anything else with an engine, when you store, start with Stable.
Hi, what brings you to the clinic today?
Oh, the baby's not feeling well. I think she might have a fever.
Well, let's check her temp with the Exergen thermometer. You're right. These Exergen thermometers are very accurate. Reads 101.2.
Oh, gosh. Well, that Exergen thermometer sure is fast and easy to use.
Yes, and many doctors recommend Exergen for home use.
Exergen thermometers, backed by over 100 clinical studies, are available at Walmart and participating retailers. Learn more at Exergen.com.
O'Reilly! When you need auto parts, O'ReillyAuto.com is just a click away. We offer convenient options for you to get your parts, tools, accessories, and supplies quickly. Order online and pick up for free at your local O'Reilly Auto Parts store, or you can have your parts delivered right to your door with free shipping on most orders over $35. Visit O'ReillyAuto.com.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Visit Barlow Chevrolet in Delran, where they've just kicked off their Red Tag Savings event. That means $500 in bonus cash on select popular new models. So stop by and check out their large inventory of Silverados, Tahoes, Equinox, and more. Plus, the friendly and experienced staff at Barlow is always there to make the buying process simple and convenient with honest prices and dedicated service. Barlow delivers for you. Stop by in Delran or visit BarlowAutoGroup.com. Together, let's drive.
Hey, Monco, join Corona, Andrew Salchunas, Pat Egan, and Bob Cooney for the Fanatic pregame show this Monday, November 20th from 5 to 8 p.m. at the Trap Tavern in Trap, PA. Enjoy $4.25 Corona and Corona Light bottles. Hang with Chunas, Pat, and Bob, and listen to them break down the upcoming Birds game versus Kansas City. Don't miss the Fanatic pregame show sponsored by Corona at the Trap Tavern in Trap, PA this Monday. Visit 975thefanatic.com for details. The Trap Tavern!
This is an important notice to consumers facing $10,000 or more in credit card debt, medical bills, or other unsecured debt. You may not be required to pay it all back because there are special programs now in effect that will significantly reduce the amount you will owe if you qualify. This is not bankruptcy or a debt consolidation loan. These programs, which the credit card companies like to keep secret, exist to aid American consumers struggling with overwhelming credit card debt by offering tremendous savings and real debt relief. Accredited Debt Relief has established a special hotline for you to call and learn what savings you qualify for. They've helped qualify consumers with over $1 billion in debt and are A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau. So don't wait. Get the relief you need during these hard economic times. For this free information, call the Accredited Debt Relief Hotline now. Call 800-205-3400. 800-205-3400. 800-205-3400.
WPEN Burlington, Philadelphia, a Beasley Media Group station. Official home of the Sixers, Flyers, Union, and the best Eagles talk in Philadelphia. 97.5, The Fanatic.
10:51, 97.5, The Fanatic. I'm Andrew Salchunas. It's a Football Friday. We got the Vault coming up at 11 o'clock. It's a Football Friday in which the Eagles don't play till Monday, so we're all kind of all over the place to start the show. But I wouldn't say fun conversations, but just a little bit different. Not just a typical, what should the Eagles do in the second half? I did ask that question. Your biggest takeaways from the Eagles in the first half of the season and what they need to do in the second half of the season for you to say that they are legit Super Bowl contenders, because I do believe that a lot of you have a little bit of doubt in your minds. You just don't want to admit it just yet. And if you do want to talk about it, feel free. I'm here. I'm not going to yell at you because they are flawed. They're just the least flawed team amongst all the teams in the NFL. So you can answer that question at 610-632-0975. But we also opened up two other things regarding, well, I guess the NFL. Definitely one regarding the NFL, the other with sideline reporting. Last night, Joe Burrow left the game with a hand injury on his throwing hand. And there was a video from the team account earlier in the week that showed them walking off a bus or something, and you saw a brace on his right hand. The video was since deleted, but a lot of people caught it and obviously screen grabbed it or saved the video for themselves to start tweeting out about Joe Burrow wearing a wrist or a brace on his wrist. He never appeared on the injury report. He leaves the game yesterday due to that same hand. And so that leads to a conversation about the integrity of football and gambling, because NFL is partnered with FanDuel. The NFL runs commercials for all the different sports books there are. You see it everywhere. And so now people are upset, saying that their bets should be voided because the Bengals went against league protocol, not putting Joe Burrow on the injury report, to which I say, if I'm the Bengals, I'm doing the same thing. If I can hide it, that's the thing. Like, there's some you can't hide. If Jalen Hurts is hobbling around on the field, you have to put knee injury. Full participant in practice, even if he wasn't a full participant, right? Like, there's ways to get around it, I'm sure. I'm not a lawyer for the NFL or for a specific franchise, but I would imagine you can get around the injury report as much as you can. And as Ray and I were talking about last segment, I'm sure there's injuries that don't pop up on the injury report all the time. But because it's the quarterback, because of who it is, because it's Thursday Night Football, Amazon Prime, the only game of the night, big one, AFC North battle between the Ravens and the Bengals, a lot of betting implications. And it was a great point made by AU on Twitter that it's not just the Joe Burrow bets, it's Jamar Chase's over-unders, Joe Mixon's over-unders. Burrow's the one throwing the football, and if you can't throw the football, so then Mixon's over-under should change because he might have to run the football more. The line in the game itself changes if there's knowledge that Joe Burrow's not healthy. So if you had a Joe Burrow ticket yesterday or a Bengals ticket or anything regarding the game yesterday, do you believe your bet should be voided? Because I say no, but it's that fine line between league rules and the league partnerships with sports books. Finally, the Carissa Thompson situation. So she told everybody yesterday that she has lied at times on the sideline when she used to be a sideline reporter. So Pat Schultz checks in on Twitter. You are conveniently leaving out that she said she's only ever done it if they've blown her off or just refused to talk to her. Don't make it seem like she just ignores her job and says whatever she wants. To which I responded, you can't lie and say you spoke to someone when you didn't. I don't care if it happened one time. You can't lie. Now, to Pat's point, Carissa Thompson didn't get to the position that she's at right now because she didn't work hard. Right? She worked hard to get to the position that she's at. But she did admit to you that there have been times where she would lie. And she's smart enough of a football mind to know what they're going to say. Oh, man, like they couldn't get a stop on third down. So they're probably going to say, they need to do a better job getting off the field on third downs. Can't give the other team too many chances because they have a prolific offense. Like, I can say this stuff off the cuff, right? Because we've all heard it. But you can't lie even one time because that goes up against journalistic integrity, which he then responds with, I understand, but to tell the whole story, willing to also guarantee that no coach has a problem with her, and they probably wouldn't even realize it because it's just generic bleep anyway. Interviewing a coach at halftime is dumb. They all say the same things. That part I agree with at the end. But then he follows up with journalists are notorious for embellishing stories. They lie every day about things, yet there's no blowback because it is just the way it is. That's not true. Journalists don't lie every day. I'm sure there are some publications that are one-sided. We know that for a fact, actually. Like, that is true. There are TV networks that are completely one-sided. There are on both sides. But don't go that journalists lie every single day and embellish stories every single day when that's not true, because then we would have a big problem on our hands. Major problem. You said you have the Carissa Thompson audio? All right, here she is on part of my take.
And I've said this before, so I haven't been fired for saying it, but I'll say it again. I would make up the report sometimes because, A, the coach wouldn't come out at halftime, or it was too late, and I was like, I didn't want to screw up the report, so I was like, I'm just going to make this up. Because, first of all, no coach is going to get mad if I say, hey, we need to stop hurting ourselves. We need to be better on third down. We need to stop turning the ball
Pressure
over.
the quarterback.
Yeah, exactly. and do a better job of getting off the field. Like, they're not going to correct me on that.
Right.
So I'm like, it's fine. I'll just make up the report.
It would be very funny if you were like,
yes. Do that. You can't just make up the report. That'll be fine. I don't want to admit to sometimes making things up in college on papers when I was supposed to talk to people and I got an A on it. I don't want to necessarily say that, so Temple takes away my degree. But this is like, I was not a professional journalist, okay? And that was something totally unrelated. I'll leave it at that. She is a professional journalist talking about the NFL. You can't make it up, whether you think that sideline report is bogus or not when it comes to the halftime adjustments. The injury stuff is legit, right? Like, I want to know the updates on injuries because you get them in game. You don't just get them coming out of halftime. And sometimes you get great stories. You can't be like, oh, I don't want to mess up this report, so I'm just going to make up what they said. No, you have to pivot if you didn't talk to them and use something that you talked to them earlier in the week with. Or another player that you spoke with. Let's say Jalen Hurts is having a bad game. I spoke with Jalen Hurts earlier in the week. This is what he's trying to do this week. A lot of people are defending her, which I don't think you should. And you can't lie. I'll get the vault in a minute. Let's go to Joe in West Effort. What's up, Joe?
Yo, what's going on, fellas?
How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing great.
So the whole gambling thing, it's a touchy subject, but I think that's part of the risk you take when you use any source of gambling when it comes to sports.
Absolutely.
Like, I'm sure a ton of people had, Mark Andrews, anytime touchdown scorer, or his over in yards, or his over in receptions. But I think if they clock minutes in the game and then they go down, whether they were on the injury report or not, I mean, that's just kind of the risk you take, It's,
yeah, and like, what if a player, you have an anytime touchdown for a running back, and that running back gets knocked out of the game because of an illegal helmet-to-helmet hit by a player on the defense? Should your bet be voided because the guy had an illegal tackle on the guy? By the rules, it was an illegal tackle, and he's penalized for it. but I don't think your bet should be voided. And so because the Bengals may have done something illegal in terms of not putting Joe Burrow on the injury report, that's still the risk, like you said, that you take.
Right. And like you said, in a game like today where wins are so crucial in this time of the season, a division matchup on primetime, I think both teams are going to, try and hide injuries or, not make it seem as bad as it actually is so that it's tougher to, scout them.
I saw Lamar Jackson come up hobbling yesterday. There was a play where he was rolling to his left and his foot caught the turf and he went down and he started hobbling, still finished that drive out. And I wonder if we see him on the injury report at all.
Right.
The Ravens are the number one team in their division. They might want to keep that a secret. I feel like it happens all the time. Now, I get it. When it's your money, you get upset. And let me make this clear to the audience. I mean, if you've listened to the show, you know I'm a betting man. So I'm not like a holier-than-thou guy who's like saying, oh, that's what you get for betting. No, I bet. I do.
Right.
So, it's just one of these things that you kind of just have to deal with instead of asking for the bets to be voided.
Right. It's the nature of the game when it comes to gambling.
Yep, absolutely. What do you got on the Birds, Joe?
So for this week, I'm confident that the Birds can pull it out. My only doubt, besides the obvious one with the linebackers and Travis Kelce, and, everybody's on that one already, but is I just hope they use the running game as much as they should. All week we've been talking about, how the Chiefs are not that great of a run defense, that's how the Broncos beat them. So I just hope that the Birds don't overthink it and just try and air the ball out to A.J. Brown because he's been so explosive all year. I hope they just make it a nitty-gritty, use DeAndre Swift the way they're supposed to, win the battle of the trenches, and just keep that time of possession high like they've done all year.
Yeah, it's a great point, Joe, and I appreciate the call, man. It kind of goes back to that Jets game. Remember the Jets were one of the worst rushing defenses in the NFL, but they were missing Sauce Gardner and their other starting corner. So their two starting corners were out, but the Eagles threw the ball a million times, even though they were going up against one of the worst rush defenses in the NFL. And I understand you would do that against third and fourth string corners, but if it's not working, clearly, it's okay to adapt. It's okay to adjust your game plan. And I think Brian Johnson has since learned from that and has done a much better job. All right, it's 11 o'clock, 11:03. Sorry I'm late, Ray. Time now for the Vault.
When we began opening this vault nearly 2 hours ago, we had no real idea what we'd find inside. As it turns out, we haven't found very much.
Vault presented by Gold Nugget Jewelers. That's where Philly gets engaged. Ray, what's up?
We got some birthdays today.
I like birthdays.
So we got birthdays to celebrate. I'll start with sports, then move outside of the realm of sports. Let's begin with Mitch Williams. Happy birthday today, November 17th. He was born. I will give you two highlights. I think you could guess the two highlights I'm going for this one. We're not really digging too deep into the archives of Mitch Williams. I know what everybody wants to hear. We'll take you to Game 6 of the 1993 NLCS.
It's only fitting that this series should come down to a 3-2 pitch with 2 outs in the ninth. The payoff pitch. He struck him out. And the Philadelphia Phillies have won the National League pennant. In a series filled with improbabilities, this was the most unlikely ending of all. A 1-2-3 inning for Mitch Williams in the ninth.
You played that. I heard you doing that one before the show, and we both laughed. It's like my man just had probably the biggest moment of his career, and he's catching strays by the play-by-play guy.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, it's a great line.
It is a great line. It's just funny, right? You think of Kirk Gibson, right? The most, in a season where the impossibles happen, or improbables happen, the impossibles happen with Vince Scully, right? That's a beautiful moment, right? Because, the guy's hobbled. No, it's just because Mitch Williams is struggling. Oh, wow. Probably the most improbable thing is that he got a 1-2-3 inning.
He could not rest there on his laurels for more than a minute before. It's like, got to get that shot in before. But, yes, there you go. I'll also take you to, I think, outside of that moment, this is the most iconic, the thing that Mitch Williams gets remembered for the most. If you disagree, feel free to let me know.
In a positive way, I hope.
Yeah, positive way. Yeah. We'll continue with the positivity here. I'm a vibesman. People forget that.
Now the stretch. And the pitch. Swing and a base hit to left center field. Hank Amelia's going to score. This things RBI hit. Can you believe it? 6-5 Phillies. We'll be back with the totals and a recap in just a moment.
Yes, in a good way. That's the way he's remembered most.
Yes,
yeah,
the positive like that.
Yeah, not the walk-off home run, and then little Andrew went up to him and asked him if he was the guy that gave up the home run in the All-Star game, and he said it was the World Series. That was cool.
Yeah, positively.
Positive.
Yeah, sorry.
Happy birthday, Mitchie.
Yeah, happy birthday, Mitch Williams. I was trying to keep it positive for his birthday. I don't think that highlight will ever make its way into a vault unless I get to a dark place. We're going to go birthdays outside of sports now. We got two for you. One, I'll start with Danny DeVito. And Danny DeVito got a lot of play last week because Danny DeVito became, I don't want to call it an easy punchline, but kind of an easy punchline for something else going on in sports. Here's something from First Take, which I think you can guess where the punchline comes from.
Is this a must win for the Cowboys
Yes.
against the Giants?
Hell yes. Hell yes. I mean, can you imagine if the Cowboys lost to Danny DeVito? I mean, Tommy DeVito. I mean, Danny DeVito. I mean, could you imagine? Could you imagine? I mean, you got to be kidding me. You got to be kidding me. Oh, I mean, it's tough to beat a team twice. This Giants team?
So Danny DeVito getting some love on Sports Center, ESPN. That's nice.
Yeah, it was not only Stephen A. that made that joke. I'm not going to go through and playing it, but I started to look to see if others made the jokes.
I'm sure it was all over
Skip got
Twitter.
in on it. Yeah, people.
Yeah.
Danny DeVito's at quarterback. It's like, come on, man. Like, Tommy DeVito, there's a lot there to unpack, but come on, let's not do it.
That's one of those things where you search Danny DeVito and everybody made the same joke.
Yes,
on Twitter.
that's exactly what it was. So it was the joke of the week last week. Danny DeVito, of course, It's Always Sunny, Frank Reynolds, The Wonderful Thing. Turns out, as I was doing this, I think he grew up a Giants fan, but he gives an impassioned speech for the Eagles, and of course, It's Always Sunny.
Those guys are Philadelphia. They bust their ass every day just to get through. And then on a Sunday, they put all their hopes into the Eagles. And year after year after year, their team lets them down. And they get angry, and that anger builds into a stone of fury. And if it could just be released, then we could feel something different. What? Us, those guys, the whole city of Philadelphia could feel like champions.
Was that from the Super Bowl episode?
Yeah.
I'm trying. Did they redo it? I'm trying to remember the storyline. Like, weren't they already filming the season and then the Eagles won the Super Bowl, so they had to film another episode? I think that may have been the case.
That may have been the case.
That's awesome. That show is still incredible.
Yeah. Absolutely great.
By the way, how about season 3, Abbott Elementary? Announced yesterday, February 10th, I believe.
Yes, I believe so.
That's exciting.
Very exciting.
Great show.
Keeping with pop culture here. A birthday, and a birthday that I want to celebrate for all the people that were upset about me for the movies.
Oh.
Martin Scorsese's birthday.
Oh, how about that?
So let's get you that Goodfellas trailer, and I'll have one more scene for it.
Never rat on your friends, and always keep your mouth shut. As far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be a gangster.
Hey, Mom, what do you think? You look like a gangster.
By the time I grew up, there was $30 billion a year in cargo moving through Idlewild Airport. Believe me, we tried to steal every bit of it.
What do you do?
I'm in construction.
He's not Jewish.
Mazel tov. For most of the guys, killings got to be accepted.
Hey, Henry, here's an arm. Very funny guy. Here's a leg. Here's a wing. What do you like, the leg or the wing? It's you.
For us to live any other way was nuts. And we were treated like movie stars with muscle. We had it all just for the asking.
It's gonna be a good summer.
It was a glorious time.
In a world that's powered by violence, on the streets where the violent have power, a new generation carries on an old tradition.
So you finally watched that one, right?
Yes.
I thought I was a bad movie, man. You're worse than me. I've seen that movie probably 100 times. And it was just one of those movies that was always on once I was older to allowed to watch that kind of stuff, I guess. Or I would go in the basement and it would be on TV, it would be on HBO. I've seen that movie 100 times. It's such a great movie. And I just wonder what it was like when movies like that came out. Like, what's been the great movie that came out in the last, 10 years? Oppenheimer was tremendous. Well worth the hype, I guess, is what I'm trying to get at. Because those movies, the iconic movies, they still are up there on the list. I joke around. Well, not joke around. I'm serious. Dark Knight better than Pulp Fiction. 610. But, Pulp Fiction is still a movie that everybody watches. Dark Knight, Oppenheimer. Think about all the hype that Barbie got. You know what I mean? I mean these iconic movies that 50 years from now, people are going to be talking about how it was one of the greatest movies of all time. Has there been that one? There's been franchises. Harry Potter, right? I'm a Potterhead, but I know that doesn't captivate an entire audience.
There's one movie that when you say watching 100 times, I think gentlemen of our age have watched one movie 100 times that also fits in the Scorsese film that I also have one scene from to wrap up the vault, if you'd be interested in
yes, please,
finishing this one out. Because, of course, I'm talking about Wolf of Wall Street. And, of course, I'm talking about this scene.
So I was, a little surprised you asked Christy for my number.
What is that?
Aren't you married?
Well, yeah, but what? Married people can't have friends?
We're gonna be friends?
Yeah. You want to be my friend?
We're not gonna be friends.
That movie was just insane.
Yes.
Insane. The one thing after another. That movie was just insane. Yeah, I mean, that's a movie that, again, we've seen a bunch of times. So that one's up there. I wonder just in the last 5-10 years, and COVID had a big part of it, right? Movies weren't being made for a couple of years, or just not as good as movies. But I really like The Irishman, but the movie being 3 hours long, I know soured a lot of people. People weren't in on a 3-hour movie. I really enjoyed that movie. But yeah, no, it's something that I think these iconic movies are all older. Not like Jaws. We don't talk about Sharknado. You know what I mean? Why would we? Whatever. All right. We'll continue the conversation. I see Chris thinks bets should be voided from last night. We'll talk about that. And I have some other great tweets regarding this. If you had a Joe Burrow ticket or anything Bengals related, do you think your bet should be voided? Or if you didn't even bet on it, do you think people's bets should have been voided because the Bengals technically did something illegal yesterday all week by not putting Joe Burrow on the injury report? But as Nick Sirianni always says, competitive advantage. Sometimes you hide that stuff. Let's continue the conversation next. 610-632-0975. Manager Sal Chunas, and this is 97.5 The Fanatic. Now, speaking of betting, as the weather gets colder, the NFL offers stay hot on FanDuel in partnership with Valley Forge. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 moneyline bet. That's $150 if your team wins. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get on all the action. The app's super easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, over-unders, and more. And, of course, with this perk that they got going on, with this new offer for new users, a $5 moneyline bet gets you $150. As long as it hits, just find the biggest money line favorite that's out there. The Dolphins currently are that team going up against the Raiders. I feel really good about the Commanders being the Giants. I just don't think Tommy DeVito ever wins a football game. So go with the Commanders as well. Just visit FanDuel.com/Fanatic. That's FanDuel.com/Fanatic and kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, the official partner of the NFL. You got to be 21 plus. President PA. First online real money wager only. $5 pregame money line wager required. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Fanatic Sports Update.
Another weekend without the birds. I'm Ray Dunn. This update is brought to you by GoodAC.com. Whether you're looking for air conditioning installation, heating repairs, or just preventative maintenance, Good Air Conditioning and Heating does it all. And authorized York dealer, you're in good hands at GoodAC.com. Still waiting for some Eagles football after the bye week. The Birds return to action Monday night in Kansas City against the Chiefs, which means another Sunday for you without the Eagles. Jalen Hurts in practice on Thursday did not wear a brace. And other news from practice, Bradley Roby and Cam Jurgens were both full participants in Thursday's practice. Elsewhere in football on Thursday night, the Ravens with a big win over the Bengals. That's not the big story coming out of that game. Of course, the injury to Joe Burrow and whether or not he was injured going into the game. Also, the Ravens losing Mark Andrews potentially for this season in that game as well. Tim McManus will join the show coming up at noon to talk about the Eagles, get you set for that matchup with the Chiefs on Monday night. 76ers back in action in Atlanta tonight against the Hawks. It's the third game of the in-season tournament for the Sixers. They'll be without Nicholas Batum. Right now, Joel Embiid listed as questionable for the game. Catch the live call right here at 7:30 on 97.5 The Fanatic. Flyers riding a 3-game winning streak going into their game against the Vegas Golden Knights on Saturday afternoon. Catch the live call that one at 1 o'clock on WMMR. Keep it locked here for the latest news and information. I'm Ray Dunn, the home for the Sixers, Flyers, and Union. 97.5 The Fanatic.
The Philadelphia 76ers play here. Every game, home and away. We'll have the play-by-play tonight. Presented by Corona, official partner of the 76ers. The Phila Cerveza. This is the exclusive home for Sixers basketball. 97.5 The Fanatic.
People sometimes may wonder why they need a big law firm after their injury. Name one small insurance company. Couldn't think of one, could you? Didn't think so. Most insurance companies are big, really big. They have thousands of lawyers. Imagine it's a beautiful day, sun is shining, birds singing. You're on your way to work, and then bam, your whole life changes in that second. Forever. You're injured. Now you have to fight for justice or live your life in pain. Let me give you some straight talk. Your opponent is not the driver of the car that hit you. It's their insurance company. When you're fighting to get what you deserve, it's go big or go home. We are big for a reason, which is why we've recovered over $9 billion for our clients. Over $1 billion in one case alone. When it comes to law, size matters. We're America's largest injury law firm, Morgan & Morgan. Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Attention all homeowners, do you know when to replace your windows? Feeling too hot or cold? It's time to replace. Fog between the glass. Time to replace. Spending too much on expensive energy that literally goes out the window? It's definitely time to replace. If you've put off replacing windows in your home because it's too expensive, here's great news. You can now get a free in-home window consultation and free price quote from Renewal by Andersen, the company with the most 5-star reviews among leading full-service window replacement companies. And right now, you can save $359 off every window and $887 off every door. Just call 800-NEW-WINDOWS for your free consultation on top quality affordable windows or patio doors for $0 down, 0 payments, and 0 interest for a year. That's right, you don't pay a dime for an entire year. Plus, save $359 off every window and $887 off every door. But hurry, these big dollar savings end this month. Call 800-NEW-WINDOWS right now. Don't wait. Call 800-NEW-WINDOWS. 800-NEW-WINDOWS.
Do you struggle with occasional nerve aches in your hands or feet? Try Nervive Nerve Relief from the world's #1 nerve care company. Nervive tablets contain alpha-lipoic acid to relieve nerve aches, weakness, and discomfort, plus B-complex vitamins to support healthy nerve function as you age. Live life with less nerve discomfort with Nervive Nerve Relief. Learn more at nervivehealth.com. And try Nervive Pain Relieving Cream to block nerve pain signals at the source. Use as directed.
It's exciting times once more in the city of brotherly love, and the Bush Auto Group is joining in on the action. With 2 Nissan dealerships in Exton and Limerick and an Infiniti dealership in Westchester, we have over 600 new and pre-owned vehicles waiting for your selection. And every single one of those vehicles comes with over $3,000 in bonus value to tackle the cost of vehicle ownership. A place so unstoppable they want to ban it, but they can't. So push that tush over to bushautogroup.com today. And remember, Philly rides with us.
I'm Ebony Loren, and Febrez's new scent, Soothe and Restore, is so good I wrote a song about it.
I know just what I do. Febreze has my favorite scent. Makes the perfect environment. Sweet like sugar, smooth shea butter. What could be better than being with each other now? Breathe happy, breathe. La 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 la.
Don't wait for winter weather to arrive. Pull into a AAA car care center and save up to $150 on select sets of 4 Vredestein tires. Now through November 30th at AAA car care centers. Details at AAA.com/mycar.
Tullamore Dew Irish Whiskey. Listen to the John Kincaid Show and the best show ever for the Flyers and Sixers beautiful blend of the week. When it's game time, it's Tully time.
Fall is the in-between season. In between summer and winter. In between flip-flops and puffy parkas. And in between soaring heat and frigid cold. Which makes it the perfect season to upgrade your comfort with special financing offers and rebates on a new high-efficiency heating and cooling system from Trane, including a whole-house air filtration system to keep the air you breathe clean and safe. Visit Trane.com to find an independent Delaware Valley Trane comfort specialist near you. It's hard to stop a Trane. Subject to credit approval. See dealer for details.
Sal's Barbershop, voted best barbershop and children's haircut 7 years in a row. Sal has 9 locations in the Philly suburbs. Sports talk, great service, free drinks, and snacks. When it comes to your hair, trust the award-winning barbers at Sal's Barbershop. Sal's Barbershop is experienced in all styles. Every haircut is a touchdown. Check out their thousands of 5-star reviews online. Book your appointment now at salsbarbershopsvip.com. That's salsbarbershopsvip.com.
Welcome to the Fanatic family. This is 97.5 The Fanatic.
Hello.
11:21, 97.5 The Fanatic. Our 11 o'clock hour brought to us by Gold Nugget Jewelers, where Philly gets engaged. So during the vault, you played some Martin Scorsese stuff because it's his birthday today. And I asked the question, like, in the last 5 to 10 years, has there been a movie that's been well worth the hype? A couple people have checked in. Jay Big says The Irishman, which is what I said during the segment. The Scanlan, the new Top Gun. I have not seen it yet, but I heard it was very, very good. And then shocker, 2 other movies that I have not seen because I have not been a part of the Marvel universe, but I understand that people loved them, the Endgame and Infinity War. So that, okay. In the last 5 to 10 years, movies that have lived up to the absolute hype. Because I just can't help but think that, if I ask somebody, give me the top 10 movies of all time, not many of them are in this decade, let alone this century. A lot of them predate 2000.
Yeah, not a lot of 21st century ones.
Like when you get yelled at for not seeing movies, it's movies that are from the 70s, 80s, and 90s.
Correct. Movies that made before I was.
Yes, that is true. All right, so we'll get back to the phones in a second because I know Chris wants to talk about this. So if you're just tuning in, we led the show with an Eagles-related topic. Eagles 8-1 through the first half of the season. I do believe that a lot of you have a little bit of doubt that they are as good as how we talk about them, right? Like, I think they're the least flawed amongst the flawed teams around the NFL. I still believe that they're the top team in the NFC, not just record-wise. I believe that they'll be in the Super Bowl, and they will be facing I don't know who because I thought it was going to be the Bengals, and the Bengals seem to be a mess. I still believe Eagles in the Super Bowl as the NFC team. I just don't know who's coming out of it from the AFC. I truly believe that. But just doing this every single day and talking to you on the phones and talking to you on Twitter and talking to buddies. And I mentioned my man from Jim from Shopper. You weren't in that day, I don't think. Or were you in that day?
I was.
You were.
I was here.
I don't know if it was you or Tom.
Oh,
my man Jim from ShopRite, like did the whole, this stretch is kind of scary because the way the Eagles have played. And I just made sure to point out to him that the Chiefs have been flawed and that the Bills have been flawed and that the Niners lost 3 straight. And it's, these teams are also flawed. So I still feel good, but I do think a lot of you still have a little bit of doubt in the back of your mind. So what is it over the next 8 games, the second half of the season, that you need to see for you to say, all right, that's going to be the Super Bowl team that I've been looking for? 610-632-0975. But on a non-Eagles related note, because the Eagles don't play till Monday night, it's been a while since we've last seen them played, I've been talking a lot about other issues in the NFL. And it's issues that I think we can all kind of relate to, at least gambling one. The Carissa Thompson situation, she admits yesterday that she has lied, not all the times, not her entire career, because my man Pat was making sure that I mentioned that it wasn't her entire career has been a lie. No, she clearly worked her ass off to get to where she's at, just to have gone to the sideline reporting gig, and now being, the lead studio host for, what is it, Amazon? She does the Amazon. Yep. Did she talk about it all last night? I did not watch the pre- and post-game coverage yesterday.
I did not catch any conversation about it.
I watched the game, but I did not catch a moment pre- or post-game. So if somebody – I didn't even see it on Twitter, so I imagine she didn't. But she admitted on a podcast on Barstool that she has made up sideline reports that would make sense, right? In terms of, not that it makes sense that she did that. That would make sense in terms of the coach would have said this, but you can't do that. That goes against journalistic integrity. So I just got an email about 20 minutes ago from one Robert McKercher. Or should I say Mr. McKercher? Oh, because he may teach at a high school that I used to attend at.
Oh.
Yeah, so it's pretty cool.
That's pretty
What's
cool.
Up? What's up? How you doing? He says, my quick 2 cents as a sportsman, English teacher, and one-time aspiring journalist. The thing about integrity is that once it's questioned or gone, it will always be gone. Can I ever trust anything she says anymore? Journalists are more worried about being first than being right now, and sometimes they're wrong, but there's a bit ethical difference between not fact-checking correctly and lying. A lot of people are convinced that OJ did it, but Mark Furman wasn't allowed to invent evidence, whether it supported what everyone knew or not. New in quotes, of course. If you don't speak to someone, you can't lie and say you did, and if that's not good enough, come up with something else to say that grabs the attention. I agree with you. Pivot. It's your job. That's kind of perfectly written. You pivot. If you did not talk to the coach, you have to say, well, I know that there was an emphasis during the week in practice on this. Like, you have to, you can't just say that I spoke to the person.
Right. Which, again, I mentioned yesterday, the wording of it. Like, I imagine there's a way that you go about, you have to guess that the conversation was, instead of, I talked to the coach and the coach said, focus on third down. This team coming out of the half, you have to guess at the conversation inside. Didn't get a chance to speak with the coach, but I imagine the conversation was focused on, and the whole halftime adjustments thing also has been something that former players laugh at when we talk about it. It's like I think it was Manning cast. Peyton Manning was like, "Yeah, there's nothing."
Kenneth Gainwell's on his phone.
Yeah,
right. Like there might not be this big meeting during halftime. But yeah, it is the way you could have worded it differently, but. That as the email from Mr. McKercher says, like, you can't trust anything she says really ever again. Which you could go, wow, that's pretty harsh, but she admitted to lying. Think of your own personal relationships. If the person lies to you, do you trust them all the time after that? No.
Well, that's the thing. Like, people
might work through it.
People right now are like, well, she didn't lie all the time. It's, oh, yeah. Well, my buddy.
Lies some of the time.
Yeah, my buddy usually treats his relationships well, except for that the couple times where he's gotten involved outside. Right. Of it. It's like, no, that's not how that works.
Yeah, it's so that's one of our conversations today. The other one, the gambling one, which is more relatable for everyone because not everybody bets, but a large amount of you bet. And the Bengals, if you missed it, Joe Burrow yesterday left the game with an injury on his throwing hand. And it was never on the injury report, but there was a video and screen grabs of Joe Burrow with a brace on his throwing hand during the week, but he never got on the injury report. And so that is illegal for the Bengals to do, and I'll get back to the phones in a second, but I saw a tweet from Adam Schefter this morning. Adam Schefter said that the NFL is investigating why the Bengals did not list Joe Burrow on their injury report when the team posted a picture of him wearing a device on his wrist Wednesday night, and he appeared to be hampered by the injury early in the Thursday night game that he later left, the league confirmed today. The initial picture of Burrow wearing a device that looked like a soft cast on his thumb was posted by the Bengals only to be deleted later. The NFL routinely looks into matters of compliance with the injury report policy and will do so in this instance as well. Teams can be fined or even potentially lose a draft pick. To which I say, I'm sure there are hundreds of injuries that nobody puts on the injury report. But the bigger problem is the next step, the next level to this thought process is the fact that they are partnered with sportsbooks. And lines would be adjusted knowing Joe Burrow's injury status. And so a lot of people bet on the Bengals. Look, the Bengals, tough loss last week. This is a bounce-back spot for them. It's a big one. They need to win this game, or you could kiss their division titles goodbye, or maybe even their playoff chances goodbye. So the Bengals absolutely need this game. So I'm going to bet on the Bengals money line, or I'm going to do some Joe Burrow props. And then he leaves the game early because of the injury. And so now a lot of people want their bets voided. I have a couple tweets on that, but let's go to Chris in I'm guessing Wales. What's up, Chris?
Hey, you can actually tie both of these subjects together. So
okay, cool.
In one stance, you say that Carissa Thompson can never be trusted, but then you say it's okay to lie on an NFL injury report. I don't get it.
But no, but her job is to tell the story. The NFL teams, yes, it is their policy. They're supposed to put injuries on there. But I go back to the hockey thing all the time. Lower body injury. But what does that mean? Is it calf? Is it knee? Is it quad? Is it ankle? But they don't want to put that kind of information out there because they're afraid that maybe somebody's hockey stick accidentally hits the shin of the player that's already dealing with something there.
But they're on the injury report as well.
Right, you're right. Go ahead.
I don't want to lose my time real quick, but what I find interesting real quick about the Carissa thing is she can't be the only one getting stiffed by the coaches coming out of halftime. This has to happen more than just her games, right? There's 15,
no, I'm sure it does, which is why our initial reaction yesterday was, wow, does this happen all the time? And then you saw a lot of people on social media yesterday, a lot of people who've worked sidelines in the past or are currently working sidelines or are trying to work sidelines. They've talked about how they have done the pivot move. If they did not speak to the coach, they would then bring up another story because it is a week-long job. It's not like Carissa Thompson shows up to the stadium on Sunday and just works willy-nilly. No, they work throughout the week.
Yeah, so on the betting thing, the injury report exists for a reason, right? It's level playing field and the public has confidence in betting. Those are the reasons why it exists. If it didn't need to exist, we wouldn't have one and teams wouldn't get fined. So I think it's a kind of a straw man argument you made earlier where in-game injuries are different than a guy walking off a bus with a brace on his throwing hand are two entirely different arguments, right? So if Joe Burrow is coming out with a cast or a brace on his throwing hand and he's not listed on the injury report and people are making wagers based on what the injury report says, which is the point of the injury report for most cases, I don't know how these betting organizations, I don't know how these betting organizations don't do. They won't, but they don't. I mean, if it wasn't important to be on an injury report or injury reports weren't important, there would be no fines, there'd be no penalties, and teams would lie about it all the time. So I find it hard to believe that not putting Joe Burrow on an injury report shouldn't affect the betting public.
No, and it would. And then that goes into the question of the partnerships and whether or not there should be. And thanks for the call, Chris. I appreciate it. Like, I do wonder what happens after this. Like, is the penalty more fierce now with this partnership? Because there is something legit to it because the NFL, it's not just a partnership. The NFL makes money, right? The NFL makes money from FanDuel, from DraftKings, from all these other sports books. They make money off of it. And if now all of a sudden there's information out there or lack thereof when there should have been information, then that leads to some deeper conversations. Now, I quickly looked it up when the policy started. And it started in 2017, which I'm trying to remember when there was like the legit legalization of gambling. Obviously, sports betting always happened in Vegas, but this policy, Vegas sports betting predated this policy. So what's the difference now? Is it just because it's more available across the country? Like, I'm trying to figure out. It's a 9-page document, right? So I can't kind of read this on the fly as I'm talking, and meandering. I'll try to read this during the break to see if there's any mention of betting in it. Because if there isn't, then it doesn't have anything to do with it. It's just they're making money playing their commercials.
Yeah, I mean, I think the betting aspect of all this comes into like just the ethical responsibility of the team knowing that there's going to be money placed on them.
Yeah, literally the first paragraph says, the personnel injury report policy has been a cornerstone of public confidence in the NFL for many decades. The credibility of the NFL teams, owners, and team personnel requires full compliance with the uniform enforcement of the policy. So is that public confidence betting?
But that's a bigger issue because let's say Super Bowl is over. We go into the offseason and the books put up the futures for next year. And you don't know that in the offseason, Joe Burrow went and got surgery done on his shoulder, and it's going to impact his offseason program. Now, some of you may say...
Or you don't know that Joe Burrow might request a trade.
Right.
Like the Bengals could be a top 5 team, but behind closed doors, he's requesting a trade.
And you don't know that's coming out till later, but you place the bet. Like, you start to open up a door of if I have to know all these things, like, it's slowly, like, it's... I hate to fall in the cliche if there's a reason they call it gambling. Like, you are not designed to win at this. There's a reason why these books end up existing so long and end up making so much money. Like, it's not designed for you to win. As much as they should be giving you the honest truth of what you're gambling on and what you are putting forward, there's always the inherent, whether it be risk or the inherent conversation of what don't you know. I mean, it's the big joke about specials. For example, one of those books will run like, oh, this is the so-and-so celebrity special pick of the week, and it's a boosted odds and all these things. It's like the most obvious thing in the world to hit, and it falls like 4 yards short.
Right.
And it's like, oh, if I had known the team was going to be so heavy on the pass in this game, I would have never, there's so much that goes into it. Now, I'm not saying that excuses them for not putting him on the injury report, but I think, again, this ends up being the perfect storm of Thursday Night Football, a game that was supposed to be good, that looked like it had the makings of being a good game. Burrow goes down. There's the video that happens of it, and it's Joe Burrow. This is not the left guard of the Bengals.
But I then have a follow-up with this. Why is ESPN allowed to have their own sports book? They have the number one NFL reporter in the world working for ESPN. Now, I know he's not allowed to bet. That was part of the protocols. He's not allowed to bet on ESPN Bet. You mean to tell me Adam Schefter? I'm not throwing anything out there. I'm saying maybe he's got a very, very close friend. I would probably hook up one of my buddies. Like, hey, watch out for this. This guy's got a bad hand. Just don't do it on ESPN Bet. Do it on FanDuel. Do it on DraftKings. Do it on one of these things. The number one reporter. I wouldn't be surprised if Adam Schefter may have known something, but wouldn't put it out there because it wasn't public information, because it wasn't even on the injury report. Or he had no idea. And maybe John Kincaid can ask him that question next week when he's on with them. But it's just something that's I find interesting, that ESPN, which is not just the Fanatic, right, where we react, right? They also do legit reporting. They have legit journalists that work at that organization. And they also have a gambling company attached to it. Isn't that kind of a gray area too?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Sharani works for FanDuel.
Correct. There's been a lot of murky waters.
Woj works for ESPN. So it's not just football, it's basketball.
I mean, who breaks more? I know that Heyman, Nightingale, them get a lot of the rumors out there, but Jeff Passan breaks just about as much baseball information as anyone else. They've got as much information as they could possibly have at their disposal with that now wing of game. I mean, it's a lot of murky waters. It's a lot of, and it goes back to the too big to fail question you asked about the NFL, but, about pro sports in general. It's so much part of our entertainment world that, these murky waters will be approached, but it's going to take a lot to have them.
Well, I mean, and it's just so crazy because this is all of a sudden a year where more and more stuff is popping up, right? As they continue to dive deeper into those waters of partnerships with sports books, we've now seen players getting suspended for betting on. You mentioned the Calvin Ridley situation. There was another player, I think, for Denver who's out indefinitely. They didn't even give a timeline, so who knows? Did he bet against the Broncos and make a dumb play? Did he make a dumb penalty? There's stuff out there. The greatest hitter of all time in Major League Baseball is not in the Hall of Fame because of it. And that happened ages ago. We're now in the here and now where gambling is right here on my cellular device. And so you're starting to see where players are getting affected by it because they're betting on their own teams or betting on their own games that they are now playing in. And you now have reporters that have access to it. It's just, I find it all very interesting. And I do feel bad for anybody who did bet Joe Burrow or did bet the Bengals yesterday because it is your hard-earned money. But to what our first caller said, that is kind of the risk. Now, because FanDuel is partnered with the NFL, do they have to void bets because it was an NFL issue? Whereas if it was a sports book that was not partnered with the NFL, or they go, hey, sorry, we have nothing to do with it. It's very interesting, and it's going to be something to really keep an eye on. And by the way, one of the parts of the 9-page document regarding the personnel injury report, which was created in 2017, one of them was the practice report, which Joe Burrow never appeared on the injury report all week long. And the practice report is expected to provide clubs and the public an accurate description of a player's injury status and his level of participation during the practice week. All players who have reportable injuries must be listed on the practice report, even if the player takes all the reps in practice and even if the team is certain that he will play in the upcoming game. Some injuries are automatically reportable because they result in the player's unavailability or limited availability to the club. These include injury that A, causes the player to miss a game, B, prevents the player from finishing a game, which clearly Joe Burrow could not finish the game yesterday because of that hand in which he was seen with a device, as Adam Schefter is phrasing it, on his hand earlier in the week. Fascinating stuff. Would love to hear from you at 610-632-0975. Whether or not you think bets should have been voided last night because of the Joe Burrow situation. We'll see McManus coming up at 12 o'clock. It's also the final day for you to get a spot for 2 to Clearwater. Your chance to win a spot for 2 to Clearwater. We'll do that right before we get Tim up. I'll talk to Tim about this situation. And also, ESPN did the 15 questions going into Eagles-Chiefs because they are saying it is the biggest matchup, regular season game, marquee matchup of the season. I'll start giving you some of them coming up next right here, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
Still awaiting the Eagles. I'm Ray Dunn. This update is brought to you by P.J. Williams' new Pilgrim Pub. Delicious, fresh, roasted turkey breast stuffing, cranberry sauce, and mayo on a bakery fresh roll served with brown gravy. Still waiting for more Eagles football as it'll be 15 days by the time we get to Monday night when the Birds return from the bye and play in Kansas City against the Chiefs in a Super Bowl rematch. Jalen Hurts did not wear a brace at practice on Thursday. In injury news, Bradley Roby and Cam Jurgens with full participants in practice on Thursday. Tim McManus will join the show coming up at noon to talk all things Birds, get you set for the matchup with the Chiefs on Monday Night Football. As for Thursday Night Football, the Ravens beat the Bengals, winning 34-20. The big story out of that one, Joe Burrow leaving the game in the first half, did not return. Now the question about whether or not he was injured going into that game last night. 76ers back in action in Atlanta tonight against the Hawks. It's the third game of the in-season tournament for the Sixers. They'll be without Nicholas Batum, and Joel Embiid currently is listed as questionable. You catch the live call right here at 7:30 on 97.5 The Fanatic. Flyers riding a 3-game winning streak into their game against the Vegas Golden Knights on Saturday afternoon. Catch the live call of that one at 1 o'clock on WMMR. Update also brought to you by GoodAC.com. Whether you're looking for air conditioning installation, heating repairs, or just preventive maintenance, Good Air Conditioning and Heating does it all. An authorized York dealer, you're in good hands at GoodAC.com. Keep it locked here for the latest news and information. I'm right down the home for the Sixers, Flyers, and Union. 97.5 The Fanatic.
Tyrone Johnson, Ricky Batalico, and Jen Scordo. The best show ever. Listen weekday afternoons 2 to 6. The Eagles, the Phillies, the Sixers, and the Flyers. We have you covered all day, every day. 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Hey, it's number 59, Seth joining. Join me on the BetParx Sportsbook app, and you're in the zone. BetParx is the official casino and sportsbook app of the real Philly fan and the only app I recommend. Bet more than the score. Bet player performances like total passing and rushing yards. Bet total team touchdowns. Bet who scores a touchdown. And nobody does live in-game betting better than BetParx. Bet on the action as it happens. Join me right now and download the BetParx Casino and Sportsbook app. New customers make a winning $10 bet and get $125 in bonus sportsbook bets back. Must be a winning bet, and bonus bets must be wagered once. The BetParx Sportsbook is the only sports betting app that I recommend. Live betting, parlays, props, teasers, they have it all. Like me, I'm sure that you love to play, you love to win. You bet. BetParx.
Must be 21 in NPA, New Jersey, Ohio, Maryland. Number 1-800-GAMBLER.
This is an important notice to consumers facing $10,000 or more in credit card debt, medical bills, or other unsecured debt. You may not be required to pay it all back because there are special programs now in effect that will significantly reduce the amount you will owe if you qualify. This is not bankruptcy or a debt consolidation loan. These programs, which the credit card companies like to keep secret, exist to aid American consumers struggling with overwhelming credit card debt by offering tremendous savings and real debt relief. Accredited Debt Relief has established a special hotline for you to call and learn what savings you qualify for. Qualify consumers with over $1 billion in debt and are A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau. So don't wait. Get the relief you need during these hard economic times. For this free information, call the Accredited Debt Relief Hotline now. Call 800-205-3400. 800-205-3400. 800-205-3400.
Don't miss Provember at Lowe's. Save $80 on a DeWalt Combo Kit and save $20 on a 5-gallon pail of HGTV Home by Sherwin-Williams All-Purpose Power Primer. Plus, MVP's members earn 3 times the bonus points on DeWalt and HGTV Home by Sherwin-Williams products. Lowe's knows savings. Lowe's knows pros. While supplies last, selection varies by location. Bonus points calculated before tax and fees after applicable discounts, if any. Valid through 11/22, subject to change.
When the water or wastewater pump system in your building goes down, count on Pumpman Philly to put the go back in your flow. Managers for Philly's municipal, commercial, and industrial facilities count on the experts at Pumpman Philly for troubleshooting, emergency repair, maintenance, and pump system replacements. You can't always predict pump failures, but you can be prepared for them if you save Pumpman Philly's number in your phone right now. 833-559-PUMP. That's 833-559-PUMP. Or online at pumpmanphilly.com.
Your Philadelphia Union are moving on to their 3rd consecutive Eastern Conference semifinal after sweeping the New England Revolution in round 1. The Union will face off against number 1 seeded FC Cincinnati in the Audi 2023 MLS Cup Playoffs Eastern Conference semifinal in Cincinnati. The match is set for Saturday, November 25th at 8 p.m. Don't miss the action. Listen to the Union games on 97.5 The Fanatic, the Fanatic app, or on your smart speaker. Watch every Union game all season long on MLS Season Pass, presented by Live Casino and Hotel, Philadelphia.
Nothing slows my little girl down, except a stuffy nose.
Mommy.
That's why I use Sinex Children's Saline from Vicks. Sinex instantly clears mucus in everyday stuffy little noses with a gentle, ultra-fine mist designed for kids. Just Sinex? Breathe. Her stuffy nose is gone for now. And so is she.
Sinex Children's Saline. Sinex, breathe. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. For over 35 years, my mission has been to deliver more for our clients. Today, Morgan & Morgan has more offices, more staff, and more lawyers than any other injury firm in the world. Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Tullamore Dew Irish Whiskey. Listen to the John Kincaid Show and the best show ever for the Flyers and Sixers beautiful blend of the week. When it's game time, it's Tully time.
Are you getting ready for a home improvement cleanup? The garage, the bathroom, how about the attic? The big move. Let me tell you about the perfect solution. The Bagster. The Bagster is by far the most convenient and affordable way to help with your cleanup. The Bagster is just a great product. It's 3 cubic yards. It's a dumpster. It's in a bag. It's sold at Home Depot, Lowe's, and local home improvement stores. And for only $29.99. Go buy it, fill it, and simply schedule your collection, and it's gone. Clean it up with the Bagster. Dumpster in a bag.
I have diabetes. I'm at risk for pneumococcal pneumonia.
I have asthma. I'm at risk too.
If you're 19 or older with chronic conditions like asthma, diabetes, COPD, or heart disease, or are 65 or older, you are at increased risk for pneumococcal pneumonia. Ask your doctor or pharmacist about Prevnar 20, pneumococcal 20-valent conjugate vaccine, a vaccine that can help protect you against pneumococcal pneumonia in just 1 dose. Even if you've already been vaccinated with other pneumonia vaccines, Prevnar 20 may help provide added protection. Prevnar 20 is approved for adults to help prevent infections from 20 strains of the bacteria that cause pneumococcal pneumonia. Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you've had a severe allergic reaction to the vaccine or its ingredients. Adults with weakened immune systems may have a lower response to the vaccine. Side effects include pain and swelling at the injection site, fatigue, headache, muscle, and joint pain. For full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138 or visit Prevnar.com.
WPEN Burlington, Philadelphia, a Beasley Media Group station. Official home of the Sixers, Flyers, Union, and the best Eagles talk in Philadelphia. 97.5, The Fanatic.
12 o'clock, 97.5 The Fanatic. I'm Andrew Salchunas. It's a midday show, 97.5 The Fanatic. Tim McManus joins the show coming up at 12 o'clock. Right before that, we'll also give away your chance to win a trip for two to sunny Clearwater. We've been doing it every day since last Monday as we've been enjoying the bye week. And so today's the final day here on the midday show. You will have one more shot later on at 4 o'clock with the best show ever. And so good luck to whoever is one of our many qualifiers 3 times a day, 10 days. That would make 30 qualifiers, right?
It's good math.
That's great math.
And the Rally House gift card's in must-have.
$25 Rally House gift card. You'll automatically win that if you're caller number 15, but we'll do that at 12 o'clock, not just yet. All right, so Tim McManus joins the show coming up in 10, and we'll talk a little Eagles-Chiefs, and we'll continue the conversation regarding the Joe Burrow situation and sports betting. But Carissa Thompson just put out a statement, Ray. And I want to thank Matt Menard for sending it to me. So Carissa Thompson, that was one of the other topics we have going on right now, the admitting on a podcast yesterday that she has fabricated reports on the sideline based off of what coaches have said to her during halftime. Okay? So she puts out a statement. Okay, let's address the elephant in the room. I have a responsibility to myself and my employers to clarify what is being reported. When on a podcast this week, I said I would make up reports early in my career when I worked as a sideline reporter before I transitioned to my current host role. Working in media, I understand how important words are, and I chose the wrong words to describe the situation. I'm sorry. I have never lied about anything or been unethical during my time as a sports broadcaster. In the absence of a coach providing any information that could further my report, I would use information that I learned and saw during the first half to create my report. For example, if a team was 0 for 7 on third down, that would clearly be an area that they need to improve on in the second half. In these instances, I would never attribute anything I said to a player or coach. I have nothing but respect for sideline reporters and for the tireless work they put in behind the scenes and on the field. I'm only appreciative and humbled to work alongside some of the best in the business and call some of them my best friends. So she said, just in the heat of the moment on the podcast, she lied a little bit. Or she lied on the podcast. Ray, if you could one more time, here is the audio when she was on the Part of My Take with Big Cat and the commenter. What's his name? PFT commenter. Yes. Yeah, not really into that stuff. But here's what she had to say.
And I've said this before, so I haven't been fired for saying it, but I'll say it again. I would make up the report sometimes because A, the coach wouldn't come out at halftime, or it was too late. And I was like, I didn't want to screw up the report. So I was like, I'm just going to make this up because first of all, no coach is going to get mad if I say, hey, we need to stop hurting ourselves. We need to be better on third down. We need to stop turning the ball
Pressure
over.
the quarterback.
We need, yeah, exactly. and do a better job of getting off the field. Like, they're not going to correct me on that.
Right.
So I'm like, it's fine. I'll just make up the report.
It would be very funny if you were like, yeah, so I just spoke with Arthur Smith at halftime, and he said Bijan Robinson blew smoke in his face, and that's why he's not getting the ball.
So it then goes back to what you've been saying, Ray, is how did she word those reports? And unless there's some poor intern at Fox or some poor intern at Amazon, I don't think they're going to have somebody go back and pull all of her sideline reports to see if she ever attributed something to a coach that when she didn't speak to them. Like, she's fine, right? Like, I don't think Krista Thompson's going to get fired. Like, she'll have her job, and she put out her statement because she needed to. So it all comes back to the wording, right? Did she say, yeah, and they need to do a better job getting off the field on third down? Or did she say, and Andy Reid said, they need to do a better job getting off the field on third down if she never spoke with them? And nobody's ever going to really get to the bottom of that. And Silvana says on the board, LOL, she literally says in the podcast, and I've said this before.
Yeah.
So
Again,
I don't know.
It's probably the relaxed environment of the podcast and the fact that it's a 30-second clip, that it's not necessarily out of context, but it's not. She's putting on a different persona than what she hopes to project in that moment. I think she's trying to make it to, like I have fun doing this. This is something fun,
She's on a fun podcast,
Right.
Barstool, big network.
Yeah, like I think and her statement is kind of the exact thing I expected from where it was going to be I've never actually attributed. I've never lied about what they've said.
And I respect all sideline work.
Right. And it's the, I didn't attribute to and making up the report, like that's just not the way to phrase it. You got to get creative when it comes to this. Like there's so many different ways she could have said it that make it so your credibility isn't just destroyed today.
But she basically said on the podcast, word for word, I've lied before.
So tough go of it there.
So, if you want to talk about it, feel free, 610-632-0975. I'll give you 2 of the 15 questions before we get to Tim McManus that ESPN did going into Eagles-Chiefs. Well, let's go to Jackson in Phoenixville. What's up, Jackson?
Andrew, what's up, bud?
What's up, brother?
So Dave Portnoy put $150,000 on the Bengals last night.
Yeah, I saw that he was very angry online yesterday.
Yeah. I mean, he's been in Philly for the past couple of days or whatever, doing whatever he does. But that's something where now that's kind of like his little.
Right, it's funny because when I talk about it, I talk about the $10 parlay I put together. You know what I mean? Like he's putting down $150,000,
right?
A little bit different, but it's just I understand league rules are that they need to put the injury report. They need to put Joe Burrow on the injury report there. League rules, because that would affect lines. It would affect props. It would affect the game line. It would affect the spread. All that stuff. But I can't help but go. If I'm the Bengals and I'm like, oh man, we're about to play the Ravens, I'm gonna try to hide this injury. That's just kind of how it goes.
Yeah,
but they got caught, so they are gonna get docked something. Like they're gonna probably lose a draft pick. The question is, do these sportsbooks that are partnered with the NFL need to void the money back? Yes or no?
I absolutely think they should. You can't lie about stuff and then get away with it. Like if I lie,
but I'm sure this isn't the first time. It's just it actually affected something, or at least it was noticeable that it affected something. How am I supposed to know that a running back may not appear on the injury report, but his knees bother him a little bit? He was a full participant in practice, but his cutting is not the same as it usually is. We've watched Jalen Hurts all season long not have the same explosive speed that he had last year. How many times did his under hit in terms of rushing yards when everybody's been betting the over?
And they call it a bone bruise, and who knows where that bone bruise is. If it's on the meniscus, if it's on like an MCL. You don't really know the severity, but he did have a brace on or something on, and then they deleted that video. I don't know if you saw that.
That was what I've been talking about, pretty much the entirety of the show. It's murky waters, right? Like Jalen Hurts, week 3 against the Buccaneers. He had flu-like symptoms. That was not on the injury report going into it. I don't remember. They talked about it after the game that he had flu-like symptoms. He did not play well, but what was flu-like symptoms? Did he have a runny nose? Did he have a high fever? Right? Like I could just throw that out there.
Right. Yeah, I hear you, man. It's not good. I think they should delete all the bets for that game for offense on the Bengals.
I hear you, but I think it's going to continue. And thanks for the call, Jackson. And I go back to, I'm trying to remember. Was Jalen Hurts on the injury report at all with illness? Week 3 against the Bucs?
Don't remember that.
I don't remember that. But remember after the game when he didn't necessarily play all that well? Oh, well, he had flu-like symptoms. How come we didn't know that going into the game?
Which is, again, why I'm not making any sweeping statements about the Bengals, because everyone today in Philadelphia that's, hey, live by the ethics of the league, I would slow your roll on that one, because if they're going to start turning eyes to injury situations that have happened this season that haven't been on the injury report, I can imagine, because someone said it. I forget who it was. I forget whether it was a national talking head, if it was someone, a reporter, following that Eagles game. Of the Eagles game where it's, I don't want to put his business out there. Oh, he's really tough. He's dealing with stuff. Like, hey, if he's really going, shouldn't he be on the injury report? And then you saw he popped up on the injury report once.
Not too long after that, yeah.
Like, I'm just saying again, I would probably pump the brakes on the whole let's live by the ethics of the league conversation.
I agree with you. All right, Tim McManus joins us in a minute. Last chance on this show for you to win a spot for 2 to Clearwater right now.
97.5 The Fanatic. Win a free trip or 2 to Spring Training 2024.
All right, 15th caller to the contest line right now, 215-263-0975. The 15th caller will automatically win a $25 Rally House gift card. Rally House, it's your city, it's your house, it's Rally House. I love myself some Rally House. They got incredible gear. But you'll also be in the running for a trip for 2 to spring training 2024. You'll be hanging out with myself, yours truly, March 1st through the 4th. That, of course, brought to us by PhillySportsTrips.com. Travel with the pros. My God, does Vince do a tremendous job. He literally knocks it out of the park every single time, whether it's the Eagles or Phillies or Flyers or Sixers, Union, or other stuff as well. And they ran a trip for golf to England. Like, he does an incredible job. So check that out. Also, 97.5 The Fanatic. You can also enter for another chance on 97.5thefanatic.com. And also, your last chance on the phone lines, being the 15th caller, will be at 4 o'clock today with the best show ever. So your last chance of the week coming up at 4 o'clock with Tyrone, Ricky, and Jen. All right, let's head to the Comcast Business Hotline to talk to the man from ESPN.com. Love speaking to him every single week during the pregame show, but I didn't have a pregame show last week. Tim, I missed you, man.
I know. That's why you needed to get me on early this week.
I figured, now it's going to kind of help the void, and I won't talk to you Sunday because the game's not till Monday, so it's kind of selfish of me, but you're also incredible at what you do, so I figured I wanted to bring you on. And so
now
we're
a
talking.
Giver, Andrew.
Yes, you're and you are, and it's tremendous. And so what we're going to start focusing on the second half of the show, I haven't gotten to it yet. You guys on ESPN.com did the 15 biggest questions going into this Eagles-Chiefs game, much like the 5 biggest questions you did going into Eagles-Cowboys. But let me start off with this. I found it interesting that the headline, or part of the blur before you guys got to the questions, was that this is the biggest matchup of the 2023 NFL regular season. Is it just all because it's the rematch of the Super Bowl?
I mean, it's got a lot to do with it, but also because these teams are living up to the billing this year.
Yeah.
You got an 8-1 team and a 7-2 team, and it feels like it's very real possibility that these are the 2 best teams in the NFL, and maybe on a collision course to for Vegas. That's getting a little ahead of ourselves, but certainly it's possible given how well both of these teams have played. And you got the storylines out the wazoo. You got the Kelsey brothers and Taylor Swift and stars galore. So there's a lot of reasons, and I would imagine that we're going to see some record-breaking numbers on Monday night.
Will you have a one-on-one with Taylor Swift is all I really need to know.
I couldn't imagine trying to get through like that wall of security that she must have traveling all the way.
But if there's anybody that could do it, it would be you, Tim. All right, so one of the questions that you had to answer during this 15 questions going to Eagles-Chiefs was about Dallas Goedert and the absence of him and what it looks like offensively. Now, the Eagles had to deal with that last year for 4 games, and it's been pointed out that the first game did not look good, but then they got better the next 3 weeks. Now that they kind of have that information already, what do you expect the Eagles offense to look like the next couple of games without Dallas Goedert?
Yeah, I think we can use that recent history to kind of forecast what's going to happen on Monday night in the next couple of weeks while Goddard is out. And a bunch of the targets ended up going to the number 3 wide receiver. So last year that was Quez Watkins. He had 51 targets last year, and 27 of them came during that 5-game stretch that Goddard was out. So he saw the biggest uptick really in targets of anybody on the team. And so if we kind of roll that forward, that means that Julio Jones or Zacchaeus could be in line to see a big bump in production. And I also think that DeAndre Swift, this could be a spot for him to start getting more involved in the passing game. If you look at the amount of targets that he got in Detroit, it was like 5.1 targets per game. And you see what he's getting in Philly so far, about 3.8. And it's understandable. There's a lot of playmakers on this offense, but now there's a void. And that's a heck of a player to help fill it. Somebody who we know is explosive, can make the big play happen, get him out in space. And yet this is an opportunity to do that.
Now, how do you look at this gauntlet? Remember, we circled this when the schedule came out. It started with the last game against the Cowboys, and then you have the Chiefs and the Bills and the Niners, and the Cowboys again, the Seahawks again. And it is still it is still a stretch of games that you need to respect, right? But the Chiefs' offense is not the same as we're used to. The Bills are a mess, firing their offensive coordinator earlier in the week. Is the gauntlet still as scary as we thought it would be going into the season? Do you still have that respect for those teams? Because the Eagles, with all their flaws, we keep on saying it, Tim, you and I, that they're just probably the least flawed group out of them all.
Yeah, well, one thing I want to say about this is I feel like we keep pushing the gauntlet back. After the fact that they've already been in it as far as I'm concerned. Like Miami, is part of that test. Dallas was part of that test. Those are good football teams, and now they're getting into, a hell of a stretch here with starting at Arrowhead, a tough place to play. Your point's well taken about their offense not firing on all cylinders there, but their defense is.
Yeah.
And then, I think even though there's a dip in Buffalo right now, like that isn't to say that there isn't a spike coming or that they're going to be uber motivated to get their Super Bowl aspirations back on track. So, and then Dallas is a handful, man. And then playing in Seattle. So, yes, I still think the gauntlet is very much real. I mean, that's one of the difficulties about forecasting how a season's going to play out. You never know who's going to be available for that given week. Like, nobody knew Joe Burrow was going down last night. So things happen over the course of the season that change how we look at the schedule compared to when it's released in the off season. But these are some tough teams, and if Philly can find a way to get more wins and losses out of this stretch, they're going to be in good shape going into what looks like a softer landing at the end of the year.
Speaking of Tim McManus on the Comcast Business Hotline, Tim, I'm sure on ESPN.com, I've been following a lot of your work, but I'm sure there's some stuff I've missed, and you've been doing a lot of mid-season reports, which I have seen. So let's talk about the second half compared to the first half. Give me two takeaways, one good and one not so good, from the Eagles in the first half of the season, and of course the second half, the good that needs to continue and the not so good that needs to get better for the Eagles to really be that Super Bowl contender that we all believe they are.
Yeah, well, we spend a lot of time, including with this void where it's a bye week and there's a lot of time to reflect, kind of picking apart the Eagles. But I think, the bottom line is that it's a talented roster that's filled with a bunch of fighters. Like, we've seen games that haven't been the prettiest, but they continue to find a way to scrap and to come out on the winning end. So that speaks to a good culture, a good locker room, and a group of guys that are supremely motivated to get back to the Super Bowl. Like, it's palpable, it's real. And it feels like this is a group that's on a mission. And so, we know about, how gifted they are offensively. We know the stride that Jalen Hurts continues to take in the passing game, that he is surrounded by a group of wide receivers about as good as any in the league, with A.J. Brown thrusting himself into the MVP conversation. So those are, the good things from the first half of the season. The bad is kind of the glaring, obvious one. It's the pass defense, and it's the middle of that secondary. It's the fact that they've had the rotating cast at slot corner, that they've had all sorts of different variations because of injury at safety. And they have seen, and it was most greatly exposed by CeeDee Lamb, if you get a talented person in the middle of that defense, they can pick it apart. So, projecting it going forward, if this wants to be a world-class team that's going to be able to secure a championship, they need to get that fixed. They need to find the continuity, and they feel like it's coming together with Kevin Byard now having a little bit more experience in the system under his belt, with Bradley Roby expected to come back for this game, that they're going to find some of that continuity, but they need that to happen and quick.
Tim, before I let you go, I want to have a little bit of a back and forth in terms of one of our big topics that we've been discussing all show, and it's a big topic that's all over the NFL right now, and it's the Joe Burrow situation from yesterday. I'm sure you knew that there was a photo that Joe Burrow had what looked like a brace on his throwing hand, and then it got deleted by the Bengals social media account, but people saw it. And then yesterday, he leaves the game early because of that injury, but he was never on the injury report. And so now it's gotten to a deeper conversation about gambling, and we don't have to get to that part. But, Tim, I got to ask you, the Bengals aren't the first team to maybe hide something from an injury report, I would imagine. Is that correct?
Safe to say, yes.
And so if that's the case, obviously a lot of people are upset because it involves their own personal money. And again, we don't have to get into that part of it, but the Bengals might get docked a draft pick of something, or they're going to get fined because there is visual evidence that was out there. And now, that's obviously going to be a topic of conversation all week long in the NFL. But what is that fine line for teams, or do they just have to specifically follow it? Because I go back to week 3, Tim. Remember when the Eagles beat the Buccaneers and Jalen Hurts didn't look all that great?
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember anything about flu-like symptoms popping up before the game. And then it came out after the game. Now, that's flu-like symptoms, not an injury to your throwing hand, but you could make the case that that could have affected his play that game, to which a lot of the players kind of said that it did. So what is this fine line between league policy, teams trying to hide injuries, because that is something that we've seen in all sports before. It's nothing new in the NFL. And then also the fact that there is the gambling partnership attached to it.
Yeah, so people in the NFL will be quick to change the language on you and say it's not an injury report, it's a practice report. And their obligations are, if there was anything different about a player's participation or projection for the game, then you need to list them. So if somebody's got, an ankle injury and they're limited in practice, you have to put that down. But as we know, people all over the NFL right now are hurt, and not everybody ends up on the injury report, and that's the reason why. Like, let's look at Jalen Hurts as an example.
Yeah.
So we know that he's been dealing with knee soreness for weeks now, and he isn't showing up on the practice report. Now, why is that? It's because he's practicing at 100%, and there wasn't any doubt in the organization's mind that he was going to play in all of these games. And so that's why he was absent from the practice report. So that's kind of the fine line that you're talking about what is required. Now, when you get to something like Burrow, I mean, we still need to kind of figure out all the facts there. But if the facts are that, one, he has this device on his wrist showing that there's clearly a problem, okay, that's one piece of evidence. Based on the fact that he wasn't able to complete that game and was clearly in pain, it suggests okay, was he also limited in practice during the course of the week? And if that finds out to be the case, then Cincinnati has violated something in the injury report. So that's what they'll be looking at. But that's what it comes down to. It's whether the person's performance was affected, whether his participation was affected as a result of the injury.
I just find it interesting because I think back to Jason Peters, right? Jason Peters would appear on the practice report, did not participate, and the reasoning was rest, but then Jason Peters would leave every first quarter. Right?
Yeah.
So was he dealing with something, or was the team just giving him rest, and then he just, unfortunately, something happened during the game itself?
Yeah, there's a lot of gray area, and I understand the point of there's a lot of money involved,
right? Exactly,
on the outside and gambling and all that kind of thing. And there was a lot of fantasy players and otherwise were ticked off when Bijan Robinson doesn't end up getting any carries in that game because it turns out he was sick. And how long was he sick? And yeah, of course, NFL teams are always trying to gain an advantage anywhere they can. They're not trying to show their hand. They don't want you to know who's hurt.
And that's nothing new.
Right. That is nothing new. But there is kind of a little bit of a gray area that they can maneuver towards, assuming that the players are practicing in full. So, yeah, I mean, there's always going to be that kind of cat and mouse game in the NFL, not just with injuries, but
right.
all that.
And just to make it clear to you, I'm saying that bets should not be voided because it's just that's sports. You know what I mean? It's not the first time somebody's been banged up before that we didn't really know about, and then eventually it comes out that they were banged up, and maybe you go, oh, that's why they didn't play necessarily so well. But it's something that we'll be keeping an eye on every single day because, as we know, so much of sports talk right now is also including betting. So it's going to be something interesting. Tim, listen, I appreciate it as always, and I can't wait to talk to you again on Monday. It's great. I don't have to wait all that long. I'll talk to you Monday during the pregame show.
I can't wait, man. It's going to be a fun one.
It sure will be. Andrew. Thanks, Tim. There he is, Tim McManus from ESPN.com. I'll give you one of the questions. You just heard me talk about the Dallas Goedert thing and how they will respond without Dallas Goedert. But one of the questions asked in the 15 questions was, how should the Eagles take away Travis Kelce in the game plan? And there is legit numbers to back it up. I'll tell you what next, right here, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
A weekend without the birds. I'm Ray Dunn. This update is brought to you by Ancestry. Ancestry is the gift that keeps on giving. Your loved ones can explore records, view photos, and build their family trees as they discover their family stories. Save now during the holiday sale at Ancestry.com. FanaticFootball.com. Yeah, we're doing another weekend without the Birds. They will not play on Sunday. They play Monday night as we continue to await their return from the bye week. They return to action Monday night in Kansas City against the Chiefs. As for practice this week, Jalen Hurts did not wear a brace at practice on Thursday. Bradley Roby and Cam Jurgens were both full participants in practice on Thursday as they work their way back. Tim McManus just joined the show to talk all things Eagles. Get you set for the Super Bowl rematch with the Chiefs. You can catch that conversation one more time at 975thefanatic.com. Elsewhere in football, the Ravens with a big win over the Bengals on Thursday Night Football, winning at 34-20. Joe Burrow left the game with an injury. Mark Andrews also leaving that game with an injury, and there is doubt that Andrews will be able to play again this season. 76ers back in action in Atlanta tonight against the Hawks. That's the third game of the in-season tournament for the Sixers. They'll be without Nicholas Batum. Right now, Joel Embiid listed as questionable for the game. Catch the live call right here at 7:30 on 97.5 The Fanatic. The Flyers are riding a 3-game winning streak into their game against the Vegas Golden Knights on Saturday afternoon. You catch the live call of that one at 1 o'clock on WMMR. Keep it locked here for the latest news and information. I'm Ray Down, the home for the Sixers, Flyers, and Union. 97.5 The Fanatic.
Join Pat Egan Sunday from 11 to 1 at the grand reopening of the new Dick's at the Plaza at Willow Grove Park with giveaways, incredible doorbuster deals, kids activities, and much more. See store or Dicks.com/Willow Grove for complete details.
Hey, it's Jen Scordo. As the weather gets colder, the NFL offers Stay Hot on FanDuel in partnership with Valley Forge. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 moneyline bet. That's $150 if your team wins. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on all the action. The app is so easy to use. There's a huge range of betting options like overs and unders and player props and spreads. Looking forward to Monday Night Football and our own home team in Kansas City. Build a same-game parlay around player props. A Jalen Hurts anytime touchdown, A.J. Brown to score first, and I like a Philadelphia win. It's pretty simple. So go visit FanDuel.com/Scordo. That's FanDuel.com/Scordo. FanDuel is an official partner of the NFL.
1-1 plus in President PA. First online real money wager only. $5 pregame moneyline wager required. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued. Non-withdrawable bonus bets expire 7 days after receipt. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Hey, it's John Kincaid. You know, each year there are hundreds of children in Chester and the surrounding areas in Delaware County that will not receive toys for Christmas. And my friend David Kelleher of David Dodge Chrysler Jeep is teaming up with City Team Ministries to help out. You have so many athletes on your roster that they always are super generous.
And uniformly, this year we have 11 professional athletes that have partnered with us. Every one of them make a donation. Last year, our friend Fletcher Cox, number 91, you see him out there destroying people? He gave $20,000. That's adopting almost 300 kids by himself. That's how great this program is, and this is how much it touches people's hearts.
Well, that's why Fletcher does business with David Auto. Dave personally committed to adopting 600 children, but will need your help to make sure every child has a good Christmas this year. Thank you for considering helping us. Go to drivedavid.com to donate and do it today.
This year, Staples wants everyone to have a happy Holla deal. That's right, Holla Deal. Staples Holla Deals are amazing savings on hot holiday tech. Great prices on laptops, game systems, earbuds, and more. And now at Staples, you can save up to $350 on select PCs. During Staples Holla Deals, it's not about the fa-la-la. It's about saving moo-la-la. Save up to $350 on select PCs today at Staples. Ends 11/18 in-store only. See associate for details.
Stick to the plan. Trust no one.
From the director of Seven, Fight Club, and Gone Girl.
Anticipate. Don't improvise.
Michael Fassbender.
Forbid empathy. Empathy is weakness. Weakness is vulnerability. This is what it takes if you want to succeed.
The Killer. Rated R. Under 17. Not admitted without parent. Now playing. Only on Netflix.
Do you struggle with occasional nerve aches in your hands or feet? Try Nervive Nerve Relief from the world's #1 nerve care company. Nervive tablets contain alpha-lipoic acid to relieve nerve aches, weakness, and discomfort, plus B-complex vitamins to support healthy nerve function as you age. Live life with less nerve discomfort with Nervive Nerve Relief. Learn more at nervivehealth.com. And try Nervive Pain Relieving Cream to block nerve pain signals at the source. Use as directed.
This Thanksgiving at Total Wine & More, find bourbons and Cabernets that you adore. Our helpful guides are so friendly and nice. So many bottles to try at the lowest price. So gather with friends as you sit down to eat. Grateful for all who made Thanksgiving complete.
With the lowest prices for over 30 years, you'll always find what you love and love what you find. Only at Total Wine & More.
Drink responsibly, B21.
The weather this time of year is more unpredictable than my fantasy football team.
Wait 5 minutes and it'll change.
The weather or my team?
The weather. Your team stinks. I can't believe who you drafted in the first round.
A new system from Pierce Phelps will keep you comfortable no matter what the weather does. And right now, qualified buyers can enjoy 60 months interest-free financing on a new home comfort system. Visit nopaybryant.com to find a Delaware Valley dealer near you.
Bryant.
Whatever it takes.
Don't miss the Sports Investors Daily Radio Show. Host Chris Hodge breaks down college and pro games from a gambling perspective every Saturday and Sunday morning at 8 on the Fanatic.
Did you know PJ Wellahans has half-price wing nights every Tuesday for all PJ's Pub Club members? It's free to sign up at every PJ's or visit pjspub.com. And PJ's Wing of the Month sauce? It's pumpkin spice.
Nothing slows my little girl down except a stuffy nose. Mommy. That's why I use Sinex Children's Saline from Vicks. Sinex instantly clears mucus in everyday stuffy little noses with a gentle, ultra-fine mist designed for kids. Just Sinex? Breathe. Her stuffy nose is gone for now. And so is she.
Sinex Children's Saline. Sinex, breathe. Use as directed, keep out of reach of children.
Ricky Bowe here for Alpha Men's Center. Guys will spend hours on their fantasy team, but not a single minute on something with real-life consequences. ED. Truth is, more than 60% of men over age 50 have ED. Here's another stat. Alpha Men's Center has a 96% success rate treating ED. 96%. That's no fantasy, and neither is this. Your first consultation is only $99, which includes the visit, blood work, and test dose. Schedule yours today at alphamenscenter.com or call 484-685-1235.
In a world of division, we bring people together. 97.5, The Fanatic.
12:22, 97.5, The Fanatic. On this Football Friday. Football Fridays on The Fanatic, presented by Pumpman Philly. For 24/7 emergency repair or pump replacement, count on Pumpman Philly, the guys who know how to fix your flow. 12 o'clock hour brought to us by Service First Heating and Air Conditioning. Get 0% financing for 72 months and a $500 rebate when you purchase a complete heating and cooling system from Service First. Learn more at servicefirsthvac.com. It's funny. You have all these plans to talk about a show. You prep and do all this stuff. And then we randomly got into the Burrow thing in the, second segment? And it's taken off. And I am fascinated by this stuff because I am a guy who loves football. I'm a football guy, right?
No way.
Yes. I'm a guy who likes to bet. And bet on football.
Really?
Yes.
Funny how those two things work. So all this
stuff is interesting to me. And I am saying that I don't think the bets should be voided. However, I do believe that they will be. And here's the reason why. It's just happened already from a couple of teams. My man Bradley from Zahav sent me a story. I didn't realize that the Bijan props from earlier this year. Remember there was that weird Tim just brought it up, McManus, that Bijan had, one carry in a game? And then Arthur Smith said after the game is because of the illness that he had all week, but it was never disclosed. And, obviously a lot of people were upset by that. And apparently DraftKings voided all the bets. I don't know if the other sports books did. I know, according to the story, DraftKings voided all those bets. Now the question is, because FanDuel is an official partner of the NFL, not just public outcry, right? I do think, number one, the public outcry might get them to void some bets because you don't want to lose bettors on something like this. It's not like Joe Burrow was completely healthy and got hurt going into the game. If that was the case, you're out of luck because that's
hence the Mark Andrews props.
Right, exactly. That's the risk of sports betting. Like if you had a Mark Andrews anytime touchdown or anything Mark Andrews overs, he gets hurt yesterday. He wasn't dealing with an undisclosed injury. He got hurt yesterday. And by the way, we have to talk about that, too, because now everybody's up in arms about the tackle. But, what do you want guys to do anymore? It's a shame that Mark Andrews got hurt, but what do you want guys to do? You can't hit anybody anymore. put the flags on him if that's the case. Anyways, so that's the risk of betting. When you bet on a guy, the guy could eventually get injured. But because this went against league policy, because FanDuel is a partner with the NFL, are they almost forced to void the bets? That's a big question. Like, I don't know what their fine print is. We're a part of the NFL, but do they have to abide by the NFL rules? It's, I don't know. This is stuff that I'm sure somebody that's smarter than us will have to put out there at some point.
I mean, we read the disclaimer. Sportsbook.fanduel.com. Make sure you go read. Terms and conditions apply.
Right, but I wonder, are those terms and conditions like we abide by NFL rules? Like, if it is NFL league policy to put out that kind of information regarding the health of a player, and then if they don't do it, not only are you the better duped, but the sports book is duped. Now, I would imagine that some of these sports books know a lot of information, but the line wasn't adjusted because of it. It was a 3-point line or something like that? It was a tight line between the two. And then the Bengals had no shot once Joe Burrow goes out. Do you think bets should be voided?
Oh, yeah, why not?
Not why not. Do you think the bet,
I don't know,
yes or no, should I say no because that's the risk of betting. However, when I think more deeper about it, it's the league policy thing. And so does FanDuel's and DraftKings and ESPN Bets and all these sports books, do they have to go, oh, well, if they broke a league rule, then we need to save our own skins and give the money back?
Right. For the league rule thing, void them. Like, that's cool with me. I'll cool that and void it because the league policy was voided. The whole thing, you set up a dangerous precedent going down that line, like eventually at some point for them. But I'm not going to get in the way of people getting the money back. Like, I had no responsibilities to anyone in that regard. So, hey, you want your $10 back because you had the Burrow passing prop over? Who am I to sit here and say, yeah?
Yeah, but you're saying $10 like you and me. We had the call that said Portnoy apparently put $150K on the Bengals to win. You and me, $10 is $10. He got $150K. I know he's a rich man, but
yeah, they could keep his $150K.
I just wonder what the fine line is for these guys, and I keep on going back to the Bengals aren't the first team to not disclose an injury. League rules are not. I brought it up to Tim. Jason Peters would not practice, and the reason would be rest. It wouldn't be back. It wouldn't be leg injury, calf, hamstring, quad, ankle, age. No, rest. And every week, he would hobble off the field at some point. Now, why is that different? Is it because they said he didn't practice? What if he was a full participant but ran at 50% instead of 100? Is that different? Oh, I find this stuff fascinating. All right, anyways. We do have an Eagles game to talk about, even though it's not until Monday night. One of the questions, ESPN.com did something interesting. The 15 questions between the Eagles and Chiefs. And one of them was, how should the Eagles take away Travis Kelce in the game plan? Because let's face it, the Chiefs' offense is nothing like it used to be. But you still have to respect three people: Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, and Travis Kelce. So one of the guys here, Matt Bowen, he's an NFL analyst. Here's his answer to how the Eagles should try to take away Travis Kelce. Because if you take away Travis Kelce, then it's like, all right, go for it, Kadarius Toney. Like, try to beat us. The Eagles have played man coverage on 51.2% of opponent dropbacks this season. And they need a matchup for Kelce. He is seeing 31.9% of the Chiefs' targets and averaging 74.6 yards per game this season. Bowen expects Kevin Byard to get the reps here to start, but corners James Bradbury and Darius Slay could also be in the mix when Philly plays a two-man to get a safety over the top game, especially when Kelce is aligned to the backside of a 3-by-1 set, and then the Eagles do jump into their zone coverages. They must dedicate a player to rerouting Kelce at the snap. So, basically the first thing is Kevin Byard, which, usually you see safeties going up against tight ends these days because it's not like the tight ends of, 20 years ago where you would have a linebacker cover them. You're having safeties cover them. One of my biggest keys for the second half of the season, And this was a topic that me and Tom got into when you were out the other day. You know, we talked about the player that needs to really step up second half of the season. We both said James Bradbury, and so I gave a follow-up answer because I didn't want to have the same answer. And I went with Kevin Byard. And the reason being is, hey, you traded for him because that was a position of need. It's like last year. You needed Linval Joseph. You needed Ndamukong Suh to shore up one of their only areas of weakness, and that was the interior defensive line. This year, you needed safety help, and you go out and get a former All-Pro in Kevin Byard. And he has not looked great in his 2 games, but for the people that are freaking out, it's like, yo, hold on a second. The guy's learning a whole new system. He didn't just get signed off the street. This guy was playing for the Tennessee Titans, a totally different system that he has to now learn. And so now I think this bye week is going to help him out a ton, not because of health, but because of learning more about the defense. And I do expect a better second half out of Kevin Byard. So this is a big game for Byard on Travis Kelce, if that's the way they implement him. Or do they go with the blanket ship route? It's another question.
I imagine you got to start with Byard. Byard's got experience against, like,
that's
considerable amount of
AFC,
experience. Yeah, last year against him. Like, I imagine that's the way you got to start rolling with it. I was going to try and get you the numbers for Kelce against Tennessee and try and see what we can get from Byard there. But overall, like, you got to go Byard in that situation to see what he's got against him. And I don't know if it's going to be a sole, hey, Byard, go out there and play your tail off against him. Like, I think they're going to end up doing more to focus there, especially you can put a considerable amount of focus on him, given the fact that the other options on the field are the other options on the field for the Chiefs. Like, you're kind of given that luxury of, is Watson going to be us? Is Moore going to be us?
Right.
Like let's look around and play this one a little realistically. Now, I'll eat those words for one of those receivers come Tuesday, I'm sure. But
no, I don't think so.
20-17.
That means nobody's beating the Eagles. Unless it's Travis Kelce, Isaiah Pacheco, and Patrick Mahomes. I don't think Kadarius Toney's going to beat the Eagles.
No. Tony's the one where I know I'm not eating my words.
Okay.
I'm just Rice, Watson. One of them, it has the Philadelphia sports lore written all over it of writing off all these wide receivers and one of them ends up doing something. It's just my own cynicism taking over here. But I think overall what you're pointing out there with Byard is the big key because I think he starts against him. I think he spends most of the game shadowing him. And that's the matchup you're looking for because he's got experience with it. But I do think it's going to take a lot of help.
Now, one of the other questions on here, I'm not going to get to yet. But one of the questions on here is which team has the better chance to get back to the Super Bowl in February? I'll let you know what they say in a little bit. But let's go to Chris in Jenkintown. Chris, you're on the Fanatic.
Hey, Soon.
Yo, what's up, Chris?
What's up? Well, I'm fine. Listening all the time. Just haven't called in a while.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
I had to call in on the gambling thing, though, which is kind of ridiculous. Say for instance, you make a future bet, Jonas?
Yeah.
So you make a future bet, okay? Okay, so far, 2 months out before they even start, or even as the season's going on, don't matter. He goes out, and all of a sudden, you're going to lose your bet.
Yeah, but the futures bet is different. The futures bet is you're taking all that into account. This was specifically for this matchup. Like Joe Burrow, well, he wasn't healthy going into the season, but you get what I'm saying. Before he started practicing, Joe Burrow, let's just say he was completely healthy going into the season. You're making the bet knowing that everybody's fully healthy going into week 1 with the risk of somebody getting hurt. This was specifically this game. That's why odds makers make lines for a specific game. So they made a game thinking that Joe Burrow was healthy.
Done all the time, I might add.
I agree with you. Okay? So that's why I'm not voiding bets. That's why I'll be honest. I would not void the bet.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
But then there's the fine line of the league rules because Joe Burrow should have been on the injury report.
Here's my take on it. I agree wholeheartedly with you. But I'm 64. I've been gambling since I've been 20 years old. Okay. No, I don't want to. I'm not proud of that.
I hear you. No, but like you've seen the highs and you've seen the lows.
Yeah, and I'm saying with all this going on with it attributed to being counted with NFL now, all these greedy motherfuckers, as Anthony like to say. I mean, there's plenty of them. This has been a real. I'll tell you what, you're not going to have gambling on football pretty soon.
Well,
Not
no,
my
gambling
word.
on football will always be there. The question is whether or not those partnerships continue. And thanks for the call, Chris. Like, can these leagues continue to partner with with these sports books? It's one thing for like TNT is partnered with FanDuel. And so Charles Barkley has like the Charles Barkley bet of the game or whatever. When
Santa Barkley, he'll be back soon.
Santa Barkley, yeah. But when you watch the game, like they randomly cut out of the game and they go, "Hey, Charles, what's one of the bets you're making for the second half?" Right? Like they do that. It's one thing for a guy has nothing to do with the actual game itself, other than him talking about it during a timeout or during a halftime or during a pregame show. It's another thing when they're literally partnered with the league. So Tyrone checks in. If the line is made under false pretense against NFL rules, how do you keep it? Which is why I keep on saying I think the bets will be voided. I wouldn't, I'm not running a sports book, okay? So I don't have that stress today. I don't have that stress today. If I bet on the Bengals last night, which I wasn't going to because I thought the Ravens were going to win, but I did not make a bet. If I were to have bet on the Bengals last night and they lost and Joe Burrow left the game injured, I would have been like, damn, that sucks. Now there's speculation because of the device. It's easy for me to say today because I did not bet on the Bengals last night nor bet on the game at all last night. I don't know if I would have. Part of me would have said shame on me.
Nah.
No?
I'm voided. Like, again, with the rules, I think the rules
I think they will
become a big factor of this. Like, if the line is put out there and a rule was violated with the league that is supposed to be in public confidence, avoid it. I think part of my void, and you heard it earlier in this segment, part of my void is kind of the, I don't think the sports books are, like, I'll be honest, there's a ton of mix-in, chase, like, there's a ton of different, and probably props on the other side, that didn't hit, and the sports book raked it in. Like, the fact that this is happening, like, part of me just says, you know what, just void to void. The other part of it is I'm voiding because of the rules. But truthfully, like, they raked it in last night either way. Like, that's...
Well, now that's the other thing, right? So, the other props. Let's say Jamar Chase's over-under in receptions was 7.5. I think somebody tweeted that in, that was his over-under in receptions. It's his over-under. Do you void the Jamar Chase bet? Let's say you only bet Jamar Chase. That was the only bet you made. Over under 7.5 receptions for Jamar Chase. And it doesn't hit. Because you find out later Joe Burrow's not the quarterback throwing the football. Should that bet be voided?
But the line was set with the idea of Burrow came into the game fully healthy.
Right, I understand that. But you bet on Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase could have still had those receptions with the backup quarterback.
Right, which, again, I understand
like, that's
the murkier
now, like,
water of
right,
that
exactly.
one.
Like, I don't know how you go about deciding what should be voided, what shouldn't be voided. Sean Spellman checks it. It's called gambling, not guaranteeing. Take your L and shine box and go home. The Ravens put up 34 points. Did anyone say anything about the defense? Did the Ravens score 34 points because Jamar Chase was out? Probably could make the case because of field position. But, were the Ravens not going to score 34 points if Joe Burrow was playing? Like, it gets to the point of, all right, so what's the only bet you're voiding? Joe Burrow prop bets? Specifically Joe Burrow. Do you void if you took the Bengals outright or you took the Bengals in the spread? Do you void those bets, or are you only voiding specifically Joe Burrow props?
Okay, I'll wake up happy today that this isn't my stress. This is something I have to deal with. Like, you could go legitimately down the line here of, okay, the Ravens open up what it ends up being a double-digit lead to start the second half. They end up getting up they're up double digits at the half, and then they end up having a double-digit lead for most of that second half. So, game script-wise, how did things change differently? I think a lot of that changes within game, and maybe you look at some of the other props on the other side of what things would have had to been done differently now that Burrow's not in the game. I mean, there's a lot you could look at how the game changes. I think I use the phrase in game script all the time when we talk about running the football and the way it changes things. The injury changes the way the Ravens play the game on the other side of the ball. So does that change? The dynamic's entirely different. the way they would go about setting these lines would be entirely different. I think Burrow ones obviously for me are in that category avoided. And again, not to be so frank about it, but be a little frank about it. Like I really don't care for the, they lost out on these bets. Yeah, it is called gambling for a reason. But, if you do it on false pretenses,
right.
I don't like the shadiness of that side. Give the guy that spent an hour's worth of pay the hour's worth of payback.
Yeah, and I just keep going back to what is it that would be void? Everything?
You start with Burrow, and then you start to go down the line.
Now, hold on a second. What if you bet the Ravens to win? What if you went alternate line? You took the Ravens minus 9.5 yesterday. Well, you took that under the assumption that Joe Burrow was healthy, and you just thought the Ravens were going to beat him up. And the Ravens did beat him up. And so it hit. Like, do you now? Sorry, you don't get your money because the Bengals didn't show the appropriate.
Well, yeah, and that's the other side.
Right? But, do now all of a sudden Ravens, people who bet the Ravens alternate line or just a normal line? You bet the Ravens, but the Ravens only won the way that they did because of the injury to Joe Burrow that was not disclosed by the Cincinnati Bengals. Do you now also void the winners?
I know because I've been sitting here thinking about all the different ways it goes down. It's the people that had under in passing yards for Joe Burrow. There's the other side of betting the Burrow props. There's the people that had the unders and all that stuff.
Mike Tone just checks in. It's not like he left the game on the first drive. He threw 17 times. What about the people who took the unders and were Ravens? So look at that.
Right. I mean, that's a legitimate part of all this. Where do the unders? To me, again, they're gonna last night. What was it? Pitt BC was the ACC game. I guarantee you the sportsbook covered their losses with the college football action last night.
Maybe.
We as a public are not very good at doing this thing, which is why this thing has taken over so much of the space. Because they have a ton of money to invest in the space because we are not good at this. I think we can be given a little bit of a pass for the fact that league policy was violated.
Well, hey, we are good at it, and you should listen to our picks coming up at 1:30 that Ray and I give you for this weekend. 610-632-0975. I have some more of these questions from the Eagles and Chiefs, the 15 questions going into this game, which ESPN is saying the biggest game of the season. Now, part of it probably is because it's Monday Night Football, and that'll be on their network. But it's also the revenge game, or the rematch, I should say, of the Super Bowl between the Eagles and Chiefs. So I'll go through some more of those questions. And one of the questions that was asked was who is more likely to get back to the Super Bowl in February. One of the analysts gave their answer. I'll tell you what it is next. 610-632-0975. Manager Sal Tunis, the Midday Show right here, 97.5 The Fanatic. As the weather gets colder, the NFL offers they stay hot. FanDuel, in partnership with Valley Forge, right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 moneyline bet. That's $150 if your team wins. You've been thinking about joining FanDuel. There is no better time to get on all the action. The app's super easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, over-unders, and more. I put together a little parlay that I might give to you during our 1:30 segment. Now, then again, Ray and I don't always agree on the picks, so maybe he'll tell me don't do that. Well, it's already locked in, I'll tell you that. So I'll tell you what the parlay, a couple bucks to win a couple more bucks. But one of the games I love the most out of this weekend, and the line has since climbed, Houston was 4.5-point favorites against the Cardinals. They're now up 5.5. I don't see how the Cardinals even stay in that ball game, and the Houston Texans are now all of a sudden in the running to win their division. So Houston, even though they bit me in the rear end 2 weeks ago, they had the very impressive win against Cincinnati. I think they continue that at home against the Cardinals. So visit FanDuel.com/Fanatic. That's FanDuel.com/Fanatic, and kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, the official partner of the NFL. You got to be 21 plus. President PA. First online real money wager only. $5 pregame money line wager required. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued is non-withdrawable bonus bets that expires 7 days after receipt. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Fanatic Sports Update.
Still awaiting Eagles football. I'm Ray Dunn. This update is brought to you by Discover. Discover wants everyone to feel special with live 24/7 customer service. Learn more at discover.com/credit card. Limitations apply. Yep, we're still in that waiting phase for the Birds. It'll end up being 15 days between games, and boy, oh boy, can you feel it. After the bye week, the Birds return to action Monday night in Kansas City against the Chiefs for the Super Bowl rematch. As for what's going on in practice this week, Jalen Hurts did not wear a brace at practice on Thursday. Bradley Roby and Cam Jurgens were both full participants at practice on Thursday. Tim McManus joined the show earlier at noon to talk all things Eagles. Get you set for the matchup on Monday night. You can catch that conversation one more time at 975thefanatic.com. Elsewhere, football last night, Thursday Night Football, the Ravens crushed the Bengals. They end up winning that game, and largely in part due to the fact that Joe Burrow went down and did not come back. They win the game 34-20, a garbage time touchdown late by Cincinnati. 76ers back in action in Atlanta tonight against the Hawks. It's the third game of the in-season tournament for the Sixers. They'll be without Nicholas Batum. Currently, Joel Embiid is listed as questionable. You can catch the live call right here at 7:30 on 97.5 The Fanatic. Flyers are riding a 3-game winning streak into their game against the Vegas Golden Knights on Saturday afternoon. You catch the live call of that one at 1 on WMMR. Keep it locked here for the latest news and information. I'm Ray Dunn, the home for the Sixers, Flyers, and Union. 97.5 The Fanatic.
Philly Sports Tonight. Discussion on the big stories we've been talking about all day. Coming up tonight at 6 on 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Hey, it's John Kincaid for the AACR, the American Association for Cancer Research. And now, as a 3-time cancer survivor, I can tell you, listen to me, firsthand, donations that support cancer research were the key to giving me my life back. These researchers, these people make their living trying to find out the latest innovations. These researchers, they collaborate to find ways to propel the treatments we already have into being the cures of the next day. If you've never donated to the AACR, now is the time, because your donations are going to go twice as far thanks to the AACR's first-time donor match challenge. Go to aacr.org/fanatic. That's aacr.org/fanatic and give what you can, because if you give 10, it becomes 20. You give 100, it becomes 200. Well, that's enough math for you. Your donation helps support cancer research and the great people who are trying to save lives like mine, and they did for a third time. Donate to the AACR today, please.
Hey, it's Ricky Bowe, and I want to tell you, construction sites are notoriously dangerous. It's not just the frequency of accidents that happen, it's the severity of the injuries that result. Whether the accident is by poorly maintained equipment, ignored safety regulations, faulty materials, weak scaffolding, or exposed electrical hazards, the employer is often negligent and at fault. But they'll try and blame the employee in order to escape potential liability. That's why, as soon as you experience an accident, you need to call 1-800-JUSTICE and get a free consultation from the personal injury experts at Swartz Culleton. You may be eligible for more than just workers' compensation. If there's a third-party liability from property owners, equipment manufacturers, or other contractors on site, they'll find it. And they'll make sure you are properly reimbursed for recovery, rehabilitation, loss of income, plus non-financial aspects like pain, suffering, and emotional distress. Need to know more? Visit SwartzCulleton.com or call 1-800-JUSTICE. In this David versus Goliath battle, they're the ones carrying a big slingshot.
Dell's Black Friday event is their biggest sale of the year. Shop limited time deals on laptops like the stylish, innovative XPS 13, engineered to do it all on the Intel Evo platform. Plus, save big on ultra-sharp monitors and top brand accessories. It's the perfect time to upgrade any home, business, or gaming setup powered by Intel Core processors. Shop now at Dell.com/deals to take advantage of huge savings and free shipping. Again, that's Dell.com/deals.
O'Reilly. When you need auto parts, O'ReillyAuto.com is just a click away. We offer convenient options for you to get your parts, tools, accessories, and supplies quickly. Order online and pick up for free at your local O'Reilly Auto Parts store, or you can have your parts delivered right to your door with free shipping on most orders over $35. Visit O'ReillyAuto.com.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
In sports, if someone misses their assignment, your team is in deep shit. The same is true for your building's water and wastewater pump system. If one pump goes down, you'll be knee-deep in, well, you get the picture. Trust Pumpman Philly to troubleshoot, repair, rebuild, and maintain the commercial, industrial, or municipal water and wastewater pump system in your building or facility. Call Pumpman Philly at 833-559-PUMP or visit pumpmanphilly.com. Pumpman Philly, the guys to know to fix your flow.
I'm Ebony Loren, and Febrez's new scent, Soothe and Restore, is so good I wrote a song about it.
I know just what I do. Febreze has my favorite scent. Makes the perfect environment. Sweet like sugar, smooth shea butter. What could be better than being with each other now? Breathe that people breathe. La, 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 la.
Visit
Visit Barlow Chevrolet in Delran, where they've just kicked off their Red Tag Savings event. That means $500 in bonus cash on select popular new models. So stop by and check out their large inventory of Silverados, Tahoes, Equinox, and more. Plus, the friendly and experienced staff at Barlow is always there to make the buying process simple and convenient with honest prices and dedicated service. Barlow delivers for you. Stop by in Delran or visit barlowautogroup.com. Together, let's drive.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today?
My check engine light's on?
That could hurt your gas mileage. The AutoZone free Fix Finder service can help find the fix for free.
Get in zone.
This whole report for free?
That's right, printed and on your phone for free.
Get in zone.
But what if the fix is too tough?
We'll recommend a local shop. Fix Finder, only at AutoZone.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
WPEN Burlington, Philadelphia, a Beasley Media Group station. Official home of the Sixers, Flyers, Union, and the best Eagles talk in Philadelphia. 97.5, The Fanatic.
$12.50, 95 The Fanatic. I'm Andrew Salchunas on this football Friday, even though the Eagles don't play till Monday. We've been all over the place today regarding a lot of the big topics in the NFL, the betting situation, the gambling situation with the Bengals last night. Joe Burrow not listed on the injury report, even though there was a photo of him wearing a device, as Adam Schefter is calling it, on his throwing hand, and then he leaves the game because of said throwing hand. And people are wondering if bets should be voided because of it. And then we've been trying to figure out, what bets are voided, what bets aren't voided. So we've been talking about it. If you had a ticket yesterday where Joe Burrow was involved or the Bengals were involved and it didn't hit and you think it should be voided, feel free to let us know at 610-632-0975. Explain why. And also the opposite. If you think they shouldn't be voided, which that's how I ultimately feel, is that they shouldn't be voided because there is the risk of betting. But I also understand that league policy, which is why I do think the bets will eventually be voided. But what bets? League policy states that you have to put the injury report on the record. And they never did. So let's talk about it. 610-632-0975. Also, the Eagles' second half of the season, what you need to see different out of the first half to make you feel even better about the team. Because I do think a lot of you still have a little bit of doubt in the back of your mind, even though you might not want to admit it. Now, Eagles-Chiefs is being discussed on ESPN.com. They said it's the biggest matchup of the regular season. And they did 15 questions, and they had a bunch of analysts. One of the questions was which quarterback has the best chance to put up big numbers in this matchup, and they had Dan Orlovsky answer this one, and he went with Patrick Mahomes. He says both quarterbacks are obviously elite, but I just think the Chiefs' defense might limit Jalen Hurts a little bit more than the Eagles' defense will limit Mahomes. That's especially true for the secondary since Philadelphia is allowing 66.6% of completion percentage to opponents, which is 21st in the NFL. Oy. He says, plus, I know Chiefs coach Andy Reid has probably made good use of the bye week and schemed up ways for Mahomes to have success on Monday night. Now, I imagine Nick Sirianni has made good use of the bye week as well and will do whatever he can for Jalen Hurts to play well against the Chiefs defense. Now, one of the questions was, what is the secret to the Chiefs' dominant season so far? And the reporter was Adam Teacher, or Teacher. He's the Chiefs reporter. So he's the Tim McManus for Kansas City. So the question was, what is the secret to the Chiefs' dominant defense this season? Because, let's face it, the defense is what's led them to a 7-2 start, not Patrick Mahomes and the offense. He says there are several reasons, but perhaps the biggest is their young players in the secondary have grown up. 4 of their regular defensive backs were drafted last year and are playing well, particularly cornerback Trent McDuffie, who was having a Pro Bowl-worthy season. Kansas City has limited opponent quarterbacks to 6.1 yards per pass attempt, third lowest in the NFL. The Chiefs are so versatile in the secondary and on the defensive line that they can move players around to different spots to get favorable matchups. Steve Spagnuolo has a lot of different ways to attack an opposing offense, and he mixes tactics often. Now, if you remember, if you listened, yesterday we played the Andy Reid phone conference. He spoke with members of the Philadelphia media, and he was asked about the secondary, and he said exactly what Teacher just said, that the players they drafted 2 drafts ago, are just getting better. Because they don't put any money in the defense. They put all the money in the offense, and Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce in the offensive line to protect them. So they're seeing growth. And I've heard a lot of conversation recently about the lack of young corners on the Eagles. And every single year, it seems like it's like a third or fourth or fifth round pick, and they're hoping that they get something out of it, like a Zach McPherson, who I just saw tweet about the Mark Andrews tackle yesterday and said, how the hell are we supposed to tackle guys that are 250 pounds? So maybe the Eagles need to start focusing on cornerbacks earlier in the draft, but they have a championship window right now. There was a follow-up question. The Chiefs are tied for third in the NFL with 31 sacks on defense. Is their pass rush actually better than the Eagles this season? The guy Walder, let me see who he is, because they just show the last names at the second part. Seth Walder. He's an analytics writer for ESPN, so I hate him already. Sorry. Thought he could be the nicest guy in the world.
Goes against everything.
Analytics writer? Like, I hate him. My apologies to the Walder family.
I don't feel it. I don't feel the apology there.
But you like the answer. He says, no. While the Chiefs have one more sack than the Eagles, which is 30, Philadelphia has a superior pass rush overall, led by players like Hassan Reddick, Josh Sweat, and Jalen Carter. Philadelphia has a 53.7% pass rush win rate, which is fifth best in the NFL, compared to the Chiefs, who are 27th in the NFL, 35.5%. So why do the Chiefs have more sacks, even if it's a slight difference? One reason is that they use blitzes and simulated pressures at higher than average rates, and both are effective tools. Kansas City has recorded a 9.9% sack rate when blitzing and a 15.1% sack rate using simulated pressure this season. Don't get me wrong, they deserve credit for the sacks and the schematics, but if you're looking for the best pass rush in the game, it will be wearing green. So that makes you feel good about the game moving forward. And oh, by the way...
Apologize to his family.
No. Oh, by the way, as good as this defense has played this year, and as... Yeah, look, I mean, Steve Spagnuolo has a lot of jewelry, in his time in the NFL. The Eagles had their way with the defense last year in the Super Bowl. It wasn't the offense that lost in that game last year. So I wonder, it'll be curious to see, does Nick Sirianni, who said he doesn't feel emotional looking back at the tape, does he use some of the stuff from the Super Bowl last year? The problem is the biggest difference is there's no Dallas Goedert this time, which that kind of sucks.
Yeah, and going back to the question there about the pass rush, I mean, that's one of the big things of the Super Bowl, where you didn't get to Patrick Mahomes at all. Like, you were not – he was able to escape in the second half, and obviously you just didn't get the pass rush there. The big thing that you had prided yourself on all season long was being able to get home, and they were not able to do so. So this time around, they have to get home, and that pass rush has to – it can't just be, oh, yeah, it's good. I promise you it's good. It has to get home against Mahomes.
It has to.
That's the way to victory in this one, especially when they're talking about just how much time Andy Reid's had to pinpoint every single one of your weaknesses in that secondary, and the fact that, it is Mahomes. And that's, again, why I keep saying I'm going to be one of those random receivers I hate. I will hate him. Win or loss, I will hate one of those random receivers come Tuesday.
I don't think that's going to happen. By the way, I'm sneezing, so thank you for continuing.
No problem. I saw you turn around. I
appreciate it.
I didn't know if I don't know looking at my face for a week was too much.
If you're watching on YouTube, I keep on putting my finger to my nose because I'm trying to keep them inside. But as we talked about the other day, it's that time of the year. I can feel totally fine, but the sneezes are now hitting me. The allergies been bad because the weather's all messed up right now. Like yesterday it was 60 degrees. I went for a run yesterday.
It was nice.
God, I can't stop. All right, go back to the phones in a second. But one of the other questions they asked. Which team has the better chance to get back to the Super Bowl in February? And they asked Field Yates that. He was an NFL analyst. I've had Field on the show before. He does a tremendous job. All kinds of stuff. Analysis. He does a lot of their fantasy stuff. He's all over the place. Who do you think he picked? The Eagles or Chiefs?
Eagles.
That would be correct, right? He says the Eagles. While it might require more effort for Philadelphia to win its division than Kansas City, because Dallas is a superior team than any would-be challenger in the AFC West, the NFC is a much weaker conference on the whole. There will be a different level of strain put on Philly in its first playoff game. And given that, I think the Eagles will hold onto the NFC's number one overall seed and get a bye. It would only take one win to put them at home in the NFC Championship game. So it goes Philadelphia. I believe that to be true as well. Let's go back to the phone. 610-632-0975. Paul and Broomall. Paul, you're on the Fanatic.
Hey, how's it going? I was just calling to talk about the betting thing.
Yeah, please.
There's no way they can void the bets, dude. It would be way too cloudy. So imagine if I had a 5-leg parlay, and 3 of the legs were all Burrow to hit under, and my parlay hit. Are they going to void my bet?
Right.
He stayed under. But had I seen in the injury report that he had a sprained wrist and took the under, and then he ends up going over, it's the same thing in my mind. I mean, he still could have hit over on all of his props, even with an injured wrist.
Right, and as we were saying, like it's hard to determine who gets their bets voided. Like you said, you would have won your bets. Whereas, what if somebody, I keep on saying, what if somebody took alternate line Ravens -9.5 for some crazy reason, right? But they just felt that way. Well, that hit, you could make the case because of Joe Burrow's injury, or they just felt that way. They thought the Ravens matched up well. Do they lose, even though they won, and it had nothing to do with the injury itself?
Right. And then how's it any different than when the Patriots used to list Tom Brady with a right shoulder injury every week in the injury report?
Right.
He'd be on the injury report every week with a right shoulder. I don't see how it's.
Well, that is the fact that he was actually on the injury report, and that is the NFL league policy. And that's where people are starting to go, well, hold on a second. It's your league policy, and some of these sports books are partnered with the league itself.
Yeah.
And that's why it's like we keep on saying, it's the murky waters or the gray area.
Right. I think it's too much. It would affect too many people too many ways. It's like I actually had him for over a touchdown and a half and over the yard, so it screwed me.
Right.
But I'm not asking for my $5 back. Like, it's just luck of the draw. I had Mark Andrews scoring a touchdown too.
He got hurt. Right, exactly. Right. And now he got hurt because of the game, and Joe Burrow was hurt going into the game. So that's where it's like it's this interesting, give and take. And thanks for the call, Paul. And that's a guy who lost the bet. Now $5 is not $150K. So he's like, all right, whatever. So be it.
I'll take his 5. Like, and the one thing here is he mentions the people that had unders. They're not going to avoid the winners. Sportsbooks are just going to avoid the people that lost because of the fact that the policy was violated.
Right.
You're not going to be voided. If you won right now and you're worried that the money is going to be taken from your account,
Cash out.
No, spend the rest of your day worry-free because you're not going to have it taken from you. They're not voiding winners. When this happens, they don't void the winners. If you had the Bijan under when all that happened with him being sick, congrats. You got your money that time around. You'll get to keep your money this time around. This is the only thing that's murky to me is how many different bets are impacted. Like, again, the sports books win all the time.
Right.
That's, like when you walk into a casino's there because the casino is, winning consistently. If you're not winning consistently as a casino, you don't exist.
Like, I just wonder how much more this changes things. So do you remember, I told this story with Anthony last year because it was the anniversary of it happening. I'm going to take you back 2 years ago. Klay Thompson made his return. Remember he missed a year and a half, something like that?
Yeah.
He makes his return. Draymond Green was hurt. But Draymond Green, out of respect and love of his teammate, wanted to be on the court at the tip. So the Warriors announce Draymond Green will be in the starting lineup tonight. So now the sports books have to go, oh, we got to put out Draymond props. But then there was a radio show. I don't know if it's Matt Nahagan's station or if it was another one. They got the information that Draymond was only gonna be doing the tip-off. And so they said, hey, if I were you, go to your apps and bet unders. And there were people that were putting like $100,000 down on parlays of Draymond under points, rebounds, assists, steal, 4 legs when you're putting a $1,000 down, $100,000 down, depending on if you have that money to do so. They basically stole money from the sports books. Now, the sports books should do their due diligence too. But this was like a 30 minutes before tip-off, they found out he was starting, so they put out the props quickly. And then it was like 15 minutes before tip-off, they found out why he was in the starting lineup and what for. So that was the case where the bettor won and basically thieved from the sports book, which nobody cares about that.
Right, I was going to say,
nobody's crying for the sports book.
No,
absolutely not. But it's just one of these things. All right, well, yeah, it's not the sports book's fault that the Cincinnati Bengals, Not cheated, but you get what I'm saying.
They didn't follow league policy.
Right.
It's not their fault. They didn't, but
that's not the sports book's fault.
But ultimately, it's a league policy with a league partner when you get to that point. And again, if it would have impacted the way lines would have been drawn up, you get the void there. Like, ultimately, that situation with Draymond, you end up winning out on that one, and they don't really have the way of protecting themselves. Like, there are people legitimately who get a notification, and their first like for us, it's the reaction of, okay, what does this mean for the team? I know plenty of friends. I had a whole group chat of people that they get a notification about something happening in sports, and immediately it's right to the lines. How does this impact what we could put money here, money there, and how can we take advantage of this situation to make a little bit of money in that regard? I know people like that. Like, that's just the way it is. Like, that situation to me is just people who are immediately manipulating. Like, how do I make this happen? How do I that information again about Draymond is a great example of people winning against the book in that regard.
Right.
But the reason that we go back to that example is because that's the like shining, shimmering light of people taking advantage of a situation.
It's the extreme,
right?
Because
like we're not taking advantage. In this case, the winners from last night, be carefree today. If you got that extra $10 because you won on an under last night because Burrow was hurt, go get yourself a beer, okay? Like, you're going to be able to keep that money. If you were someone that was on the losing end because there was not information out there, I'm on the side of you getting voided and the money's going back to you.
Now, FPT Center checks in. Would love to know if there were any unusual bets made on last night.
I had that thought too.
Such as extreme alternate unders on Burrow and Chase, etc.
Again, I go back to the point, though, that he did make it through part of that game. So if you went like under 100 yards passing, I think he got over that. So
right, that's a good point.
How far deep into the under do you go?
Right. Yeah, exactly.
It's not like he showed up for the first play, took the snap, and was out for the rest of the game. It's like, oh wow, Burrow just showed up for one snap. Like he played.
No, he played. Yeah, it wasn't like Bijan Robinson getting one carry. All right, let's go to Matt and Manayunk. What's up, Matt?
Hey, how's it going?
What's going on, dude?
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no, thanks for calling.
Yeah. So
where you at, Manayunk, man? I'm living vicariously through you.
Yeah, I just moved like 3 weeks ago. I'm like on the border of Wissahickon and Manayunk, right off Ridge.
Yeah, I know. I lived. There's a club there called the Loft. I literally lived on that street. Yeah.
Gotcha. That's a block away from me.
Yeah,
well,
nice.
2 blocks. Yeah. Cool. Yeah, so I think it should be voided, and I'll tell you why. I just read a statistic.
Okay.
That at BetMGM, 97% of the handle was voting for Burrow to score 2 touchdowns. 97%.
Wow.
Do you believe, per league rules, if Burrow was on the injury report, that it would have been 97%? Not even close. Okay, this is the same league that partners with these sports books and makes money as well. You're benefiting from this.
Right.
So that's absolutely 100% believe that they should be voided. And if they don't figure this out, this is what's going to happen. You're going to start seeing lawsuits, and the states and the feds are going to have to start stepping in, and they're going to start regulating. And I think that's the last thing these sports bets.
Yeah, they don't want that. Yeah, they don't want that at all. But then again, they have the smart lawyers. There's going to be something, right? There's fine print somewhere. But I wonder if in the fine print, that's why I keep on saying I do think the bets would eventually be voided, and that's because of league policy. But I wonder, does FanDuel, does BetMGM, do any of these sports books have somewhere in their fine print, hey, if a team goes against league rules, then we are, we have to pay you back? Or do they not have that in their fine print? Do they go, sorry, we don't have to follow what they do?
Yeah, that's a good point.
So I don't know. I mean, it's all going to come down to the fine print, right? Gambling is gambling. That's the point of it. And thanks for the call, Matt. I appreciate it. I just keep on thinking about it. Like, I wonder what their fine print is. And sorry, I'm not taking the time to read it. Some of these smarter will say something, but he's right. At some point, there will be lawsuits. There already have been. I remember reading one a while ago. A guy sued, I think it was DraftKings. He lost a ton of money over a course of multiple years and then sued them for not having a limit or something, and he's the reason why his life was ruined, all that kind of stuff. And they may have, I forget if they reached a settlement or not. Like, I think he didn't win back anywhere near, what he needed, and then probably spent it to the lawyers anyway, what he lost. But, like, yeah, people are going to find ways to try to sue these sports books at all points when it reaches that form of desperation, right? Like, and that's the unfortunate thing. Like, nobody's suing over $5. Nobody's suing over $10. But what about $150,000?
Yeah, I got you. I'm again. If they go void that, in that regard, he'll get his money back. He'll be okay.
Yeah, he will. He'll be fine. All right, we'll continue the conversation. We got one segment left, so here's what we're gonna do. We have our picks at 1:30. I have some other of these Eagles-Chiefs 15 questions that ESPN.com put together. I see a call on the screener saying time to trade and beat. It's what? I've mentioned the Sixers. They're back in action tonight. You listen live on the Fanatic in-season tournament game. This is what I'm talking about when I say disrespect toward Embiid. I haven't even talked Sixers for 1 second. I see a time to trade Embiid call. Because he had, one bad game? He hung up. Because he had one bad game, we're trading Embiid now?
No. He also had the game where they lost to Milwaukee. So
two bad games.
And technically, every time they lose, you have to blame him. So
I was not ready to even see that. And I know Dustin. Talking to Dustin for a long time, but he hung up. I was not expecting that call at all. You also sent me something regarding Mike Trout and the Phillies. A trade proposal? We actually have something legit? Somebody covering the league? We'll tell you what next right here. 97.5 The Fanatic. Guys, guess what? Guess what, Ray? Guess what? The Hess truck's back, and it's better than ever. Light up the holidays with the first ever Hess police truck and cruiser. Features include advanced multi-pattern flashing LED lights, 4 realistic rescue sounds, rotating turret with spotlights, and a slide-out battering ram. And as always, free standard shipping and batteries are included. And I can tell you, based off of experience, this thing freaking rules. Because I got one for Cooper, and my man plays with it every single day. And I got yelled at again by him. Were you here the other day when I told the story? Or was
I heard it.
All right. You're listening. Thank you. I touched it again yesterday. He had, so the little cruiser goes into the Hess truck itself. There's a button and the cruiser comes out. So they're not two separate pieces. Well, they are, but, it's inside the truck. I just wanted to look at the cruiser. So I pushed the button, took the cruiser out. No. And I'm like, whoa. The cruiser was resting. The cruiser was sleeping. I did not know that because the cruiser does a lot of hard work with all the sounds and all the lights. This thing is freaking awesome. Cooper absolutely loves it. And I suggest if any of your kids are into just trucks in general, this thing's legit because the sounds, totally realistic. That's the copy says it, but I can tell you based off experience, it's true. And the lights are brighter than the ones on my car. The Hess truck, new this year, available only at HessToyTruck.com.
Fanatic Sports Update.
Another weekend without the birds. I'm Ray Dunn. This update is brought to you by Discover. Discover wants everyone to feel special. Live 24/7 customer service. Learn more at discover.com/credit card. Limitations apply. Yes, we're still waiting for Eagles football. It'll be 15 days between games for the birds. They will not play this Sunday. They play Monday night in Kansas City on Monday Night Football against the Chiefs. The rematch of last year's Super Bowl. As per practice this week, Jalen Hurts did not wear a brace of practice on Thursday. Bradley Roby and Cam Jurgens were both full participants in that practice. Tim McManus joined the show earlier at noon to talk all things Eagles. Get you set for that matchup on Monday night. You catch that conversation one more time at 975thefanatic.com. Elsewhere in football, the Ravens with a win over the Bengals on Thursday Night Football, winning at 34-20. Joe Burrow left the game in that one. Also, Mark Andrews sustaining a significant injury early on in that one for the Ravens. 76ers back in action in Atlanta tonight against the Hawks. It's the third game of the in-season tournament for the Sixers. They'll be without Nicholas Batum. Currently, Joel Embiid is listed as questionable. You catch the live call right here at 7:30 on 97.5 The Fanatic. The Flyers riding a 3-game winning streak into their home game against the Vegas Golden Knights on Saturday afternoon. You catch the live call that one at 1 on WMMR. Keep it locked here for the latest news and information. I'm Ray Don, the home for the Sixers, Flyers, and Union. 97.5 The Fanatic.
Philly and Kansas City, the rematch. We get you ready for kickoff with a Fanatic Birds pregame show. Brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Monday night at 6, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Hey guys, Bob Cooney here. Imagine if your favorite casino came with an undo button. Well, guess what? You get that with FanDuel Casino's Play It Again. Get up to $1,000 back if you're down after your first day. Play your favorite table games and hundreds of slots for real cash. See why FanDuel Casino's the #1 rated online casino app? I've told you so many times how much fun it is to look at their daily and their weekly promotions. And when you play with a live dealer. And should you ever have any questions, the best in-class customer support team, they are there all the time. Sign up for FanDuel Casino with FanDuel.com/Bob today and play it again with up to $1,000 back if you're down after your first day. That's FanDuel.com/Bob.
21 plus and present in PA must not have previously placed any wager on FanDuel Sportsbook, FanDuel Casino, Betfair Casino, Mohegan Sun Casino, or Stardust Casino. Refund issued is non-withdrawable casino-only site credit that expires 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See full terms at FanDuel.com/casino. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit FanDuel.com/RG.
Ricky Bo here for Alpha Men's Center. Did you know that most men over age 50 have ED? Over 60%. Don't let that number get you down, because Alpha Men's Center has a 96% success rate treating ED. Yes, 96%. Right now, your first consultation is only $99, which includes the visit, blood work, and test dose. Schedule yours today at alphamenscenter.com or call 484-685-1235. Get off the sidelines and back in the game with Alpha Men's Center.
When the water or wastewater pump system in your building goes down, count on Pumpman Philly to put the go back in your flow. Managers for Philly's municipal, commercial, and industrial facilities count on the experts at Pumpman Philly for troubleshooting, emergency repair, maintenance, and pump system replacements. You can't always predict pump failures, but you can be prepared for them if you save Pumpman Philly's number in your phone right now. 833-559-PUMP. That's 833-559-PUMP. Or online at pumpmanphilly.com.
I'm David Keller from David Auto, and what a great time to be a Philly sports fan. Man, I love Philly sports, and I love being your car dealer. Getting my clients the cars they want at the right price is a passion of mine. Cars for every facet of your life, and some of the hottest cars on the planet. So if you're listening, I can be your dealer. For years, you've told me how to be your dealer. I'm just the guy that listens. Enjoy your family, your friends, and our Philly sports. And when you need me and my amazing team, we'll be there for you. Because after all, I have always been your car dealer. You just didn't know it.
A psoriasis flare-up can make a walk in the park, well, no walk in the park.
It's that obvious, huh? I've tried so many lotions and creams, but I still have symptoms.
So those don't do enough to treat the inflammation beneath the skin, leaving you with those uncontrolled symptoms.
Makes sense, but what else can I do?
You can get real with your dermatologist so they can help you get clear. Make an appointment and, you're already on it.
Hi, yes, I'd like to make an appointment.
Get real clear about psoriasis at letsgetrealclear.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
Just be natural. Try to roll around in it gracefully and not like a puppy.
Maria's photography studio is zooming into a flurry of projects.
Where did I put that memory card?
She needs an assistant to keep business in focus.
Hang on while I change the external flash. Oh,
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. You can schedule and conduct virtual interviews all from your employer dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Do you struggle with occasional nerve aches in your hands or feet? Try Nervive Nerve Relief from the world's #1 nerve care company. Nervive tablets contain alpha-lipoic acid to relieve nerve aches, weakness, and discomfort, plus B-complex vitamins to support healthy nerve function as you age. Live life with less nerve discomfort with Nervive Nerve Relief. Learn more at nervivehealth.com. And try Nervive Pain Relieving Cream to block nerve pain signals at the source. Use as directed.
Make Big Heads in Richboro your headquarters for all the Sixers game day action. Enjoy $3 Corona, Corona Light, and Corona Premier bottles and $3 Modelo drafts. Big Heads in Richboro is your neighborhood spot for food, fans, and fun.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? I think my battery's dead. With free battery testing and charging, we can help you get back on the road.
Get in zone.
So what if I need a new one? No problem. We have the right battery for your car, starting at only $89.99.
Get in zone.
And what about my old battery? we can recycle it right here at America's #1 battery destination.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
By the time you're finished listening to this Pepsi Zero Sugar, you'll be 15 seconds closer to kickoff. Stock up now because game day is so close you can almost taste it. Football watching. Better with Pepsi.
Get early access to Macy's Black Friday specials and save big on gifts for everyone on your list right now while supplies last. Like winter-ready women's sweaters, $12.99 to $19.99. Fine jewelry, 60 to 75% off. And cozy up to comfy throws, just $9.99 to $39.99. Plus, get your online order even faster with store pickup, now at Macy's. Savings off sale and clearance prices, exclusions apply.
I'm Ebony Loren, and Febrez's new scent, Soothe and Restore, is so good I wrote a song about it.
I know just what I do. Febreze has my favorite scent. Makes the perfect environment. Sweet like sugar, smooth shea butter. What could be better than being with each other now? Breathe that people breathe. La, 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 la.
Jason Stark plays on one station in Philly, 97.5, The Fanatic.
$120. 97.5, The Fanatic on this Football Friday. Football Fridays on The Fanatic presented by Pumpman Philly for 24/7 emergency repair or pump replacement. Count on Pumpman Philly, the guys that know to fix your flow. And the 1 o'clock hour brought to us by Ferguson HVAC Line Conklin. Attention HVAC contractors for equipment, parts, and supplies. For every heating and cooling job, visit one of Ferguson's counter locations of Ben Salem, King of Prussia, Pennsauken, or Westchester. Today we'll give our picks coming up at 1:30. Hopefully all the injury reports are real. And hopefully we won't get screwed out on any of our selections at 1:30, because that's been really the majority of the conversation today. I had an Eagles topic, but for the most part, everybody wants to talk about this betting fiasco that happened last night in the NFL. Bengals, Ravens. Joe Burrow was seen with a device, as Adam Schefter's calling it, on his throwing hand earlier in the week. He never appeared on the injury report. That photo of the device was on the Bengals official Twitter account, which was then deleted, because I'm guessing somebody was like, "Hey, get that down there. We don't even know he has a wrist injury," because they're doing competitive advantage. They're doing what anybody has done. Like, it's not the first time. This is why I keep on going back to the whole the bets shouldn't be voided, because there's guys that are hiding injuries all the time. You don't know a player's body. You don't know that a running back who might not be listed on the injury report might not feel 100%, so the cut that they make to try to avoid a defender isn't the same as it was 3 or 4 weeks prior. But then I keep going with the back and forth that they will eventually be voided, because league rules, they needed to put on the injury report that Joe Burrow was dealing with something in which they didn't, to the point where they could be docked a draft pick. Not just find money, depending on how bad it is. They could be drafted an entire draft pick. And if that's the case, then sportsbooks need to go, all right, well, if they're getting penalized, then we should void them the drafts, or the bets. But then the question of, well, if you bet Burrow's unders and they hit, do you lose the winning bet? Which, as Ray's been saying, that's not going to happen.
No, not going to happen.
But it's just interesting to think about. Now, somebody sent me something pretty fascinating that I did not know about this. JoJo on Twitter. Have you heard about the recent Wagner issue in Orlando?
No.
So this happened at the end of October, end of last month. Franz Wagner and Mortis Wagner are now both on the same team. The Wagner brothers both play for the Magic. So this was October 26th. Franz Wagner had 17 points in the game, and he made 2 free throws toward the end, and he had 19. His over-under was 17.5. But the official scorer accidentally gave the 2 points to Mortis Wagner. Gave it to the wrong brother. So Franz Wagner, who had 19 points in the game, according to the official stat sheet, finished with 17. Okay? So you're probably thinking, well, then they just make the adjustment, right? Well, according to the rules of these sports books, if an official box score, in this case, ends at 17 and is later corrected to 19, house rules at most books actually say that the final uncorrected score is what gets graded. Now, DraftKings did void the bet, and that's the only one that I see in this article. I imagine that other sports books did the same, but, there's offshore accounts. They don't care about you. That sucks. Imagine if you bet the over for Franz Wagner, 17.5. He finishes with 19, but Mortis got the extra 2 points and not Franz.
Oh, I'm imagining the celebration you had watching, because you're still tapped into that game late.
Yes.
You've got the ticket going. You're hanging out with some people, watching it. The room erupts. You're having a great... I don't know when you realize you don't get that dished out to you. That's got to be a much later in the day type of thing. So you go from the joy of that to the pain of now having to go terms and conditions on it. That's awful.
Yeah, because technically, house rules, they could... Oh, well, that's what the box score was.
That's terrible.
That's terrible.
That's horrible. That also... Come on, Statsman. Come on.
Yeah, come on. You gotta
know
the right Wagners, man.
Do they not have the initial on the jersey too?
No, it doesn't look like it.
No initial?
Maybe it does.
We got 2 Wagners. There's no initial.
That's a good point.
We see all the time. It isn't. If we collapsed as a society, same last name on a team. Plus, you got the number next to him in the stat sheet. You got the number of the jersey right there in the book next to it. I mean, what are we doing here? You're costing people money out here. You know what? I'm upset with the sports books, but I'm also upset with that stat keeper. You know how many people would love to be keeping stats?
That's a good point. Just like Carissa Thompson. Why are you lying?
It all comes back.
Why are you always lying? In case you missed it, she did put out a statement saying that she did indeed not lie, but it sounded very clearly in the clip that we've played a couple times that she did indeed lie because she said that she lied. But, hey, where are we at in society nowadays? All right, so Dustin called back. He wants to trade Embiid. Hello, Dustin.
Yo, Chun.
What's up? Look, I'm not even going to yell at you for wanting to trade Embiid. I'm sitting here on a football Friday. I've been talking about this Joe Burrow scandal all day. I look at the phone line. There's Dustin. I'm like, oh, my buddy Dustin's calling and trade Embiid. What?
No. Just let me vent real quick. Okay. You know how much I love my Birds, dude, but the Sixers got my heart.
I know you do.
And me and the big fella, we always used to go back and forth getting all excited. So just let me vent real quick, because I'm not saying trade Embiid end all be all. But, dude, I watched that game against the Celtics the other night. And, dude, the effort that you're getting out of him, and it sucks even more because you know how good he actually is. And when he wants to be full dominant, he is fully dominant. But, dude, when you're playing against the Celtics, you're giving me that lackluster effort. And he did the same thing against the Pacers the night before. I understand. It's 3 tough games in 3 nights. The Celtics had another.
Oh, in the previous game against the Pacers, he dropped 39 and grabbed 12 boards.
He dropped 6 against Al Horford in the first half, dude. You are the MVP. You know what this city has been through. We had this kind of effort out of James Harden. And think about this one, Shinnis. And the only reason I'm bringing this up is I just saw a buddy of mine. I heard you on the radio. I love talking Sixers with you.
Yeah.
He wants to fully trade Embiid. Think about this. He's breaking it down to me. First of all, if it wasn't for COVID, we wouldn't have Maxey because they didn't play in the tournament that year. Yeah. His stock would have been out of the roof. Thank God we have him. Why are we not building around Maxey? Joel Embiid, we've seen it time in and time out every year. First of all, he has a freak accident.
But that's not something that we can really control, right? Like the freak accidents suck, but why don't you build a team around Embiid and Maxey? Maybe Maxey complements Embiid very well. It's the first time it's the two of them playing together. I'd rather play this out than make a trade through 12 games when they're 9-3.
When are you ever going to be? His stock is just going to continue to drop.
Dude, he's averaging. He's had one bad game all year.
But dude, it's every year. It's the same BS. Dude, look at what we just had with Kelly Oubre. All right, dude, he's having an unbelievable year. I predicted in the beginning of the year that he was going to be an all-star. He's playing incredible right now. You have an egoless Tobias Harris. Every year, we always have a blame but Joel Embiid. He has the most unbelievable talent in the world. He has zero heart whatsoever, Chiz. I don't think.
But it's the fourth game. It's the fourth game in 5 nights. It's the second game of back-to-back. The dude's questionable with an injury going into the game. He played like crap. I talked about the next day. He played like crap, but I can't go lack of effort, trade him. He's done. He's still averaging 32 and 12.
I agree with you, but you take your heart out.
But what about the last Celtics game in which they won? Why are you coming with me on this today when the previous week I didn't hear squat when they beat the Celtics and he scores 27 and 10?
You know what this one is? I work overnights. Every Friday, I'm going to call you at my Sixers point. Every Friday, dude. I'm from now on, every Friday.
Okay.
At some Sixers point because I love talking Sixers.
No, I do too. But my thing this year with people is keep the same energy, win or lose. They beat the Celtics 1 week prior to this game that everybody is bitching about, and they played well in that previous one. That one was even bigger because the Celtics had all their players. Why all of a sudden is this one different?
Because you're not getting the effort, dude. He does not have a winner's mentality. He doesn't care the way this city needs their players to care. You have a team. I'll tell you what, Chiz, he better win it this year. If he doesn't get out of it. If he doesn't get out of the second round this year, I'm fully on board with getting rid of him.
Okay. All right.
I'm fed up with it.
We'll revisit then.
Every Friday.
I'm not there. Okay, every Friday, Dustin. I can't wait. I appreciate the call. It's probably the longest call I let go. But this is what I'm freaking talking about, man. I hate to continue now that Dustin's off the line, but this is what I'm freaking talking about. How many times have I said keep the same energy? When they win, I don't hear squat. They played the Celtics 1 week prior to the last time they played the Celtics, which was 2 days ago. They played on November the 8th. They win. And B goes for 27, 10, 4 dimes, 4 blocks, a steal, and I didn't hear a peep. 1 week later, they lose. He does not play well. 4th game in 5 nights. 2nd game of a back-to-back. Questionable going into the game. Plays 34 minutes, but he gives no effort, according to your eyes. And they lose, and now we have to, point out that he stinks. He should be traded. When I didn't hear a peep the week prior when he played well en route to a win against that same team that you guys all hate. This is what I'm talking about, Ray.
Yeah.
The disrespect for Joel Embiid is real.
There it is. I mean, that's what it is.
That is straight up disrespect. And then he tells me he didn't show any effort the last game against the Pacers. He had 39 points. 39. 12 boards, 6 times, 3 steals, and you're telling me he showed a lack of effort? If he's walking around dropping 40 with a lack of effort, I'm afraid to see what he does with effort. Is he dropping 80? Oh, my God. I love Dustin. Talked to him for years. I was not ready for that today, which is why I'm as flustered as I am. I wasn't ready for it at all. But I'm freaking tired of it, man. Joel Embiid might never win a thing, but we do these sweeping judgments. He's got no heart. How do you know? God. This team, man. This team brings out the worst in people. The worst in people.
I don't know Dustin the way you know Dustin, so I'll let you be the judge. I love my Sixers. I guess he loved the team.
Dude,
he loved
I still remember 2 years ago, not this past year, but 2 years ago, Sixers lost in the second round of the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Shocker. And he called in the next day. And he was like, man, I'm so disappointed, blah, blah. But you know what? Next year, they'll be good. James Harden will have a full off season because this is after the Heat series.
Okay.
They'll have a full off season with James Harden and blah, blah. You know what? Play the song. He has to play the song the day after they got eliminated. And I remember saying, no. No.
Not right now.
I'm not playing the song. They just lost. They just got eliminated from the playoffs. I'm not playing the song. He loves the Sixers. But, dude, talk about trading Joel Embiid after he played one bad game.
And building around Maxey again.
Maxey with this team is a play-in team. All right? play-in team with Embiid. They are a top 4 seed, and this roster's not finished yet. And why don't you just give the two of them a chance? Maxey drops 50 the other night. You know why? Probably because Joel Embiid's there, too.
Beat at 37 in that game.
Yes.
Yeah, Maxey has 50 and beat at 37, 13, and 7. Like, yes, the revelation of Maxey and the step forward he's taken has been fantastic. You've had an MVP here for years at this point. The reason he could take a step forward, have you seen the two-man game? He's been able to be given some help there by Embiid. Embiid trying to make his game different and stepping up in different ways for this team has been a part of the driving force of what's put this team in its position so far. Like, what are we doing here?
This is why I think I have the best approach of it all. 82 games, educational. I'm not going to get emotional. I got emotional there because I think that was...
Yeah, I guess where are we...
Crazy. Look, if you want to trade Joel Embiid because you think there's a better way to build around the team, that's fine. But, like, you can't say, like, oh, man, the last game showed me that. What about the previous game when he dropped 39, 12, and 6, and what you're saying he didn't show any effort?
I'll push back on that's fine. I don't think it is.
All right. A couple minutes past than what I expected. Glenn and Pat, I promise I'll get to you. But it's 1:35. Time now for some picks. Told you I have a parlay. One of those like crazy long ones. Just to say, hey, put $5 down, went around 400. It'd be nice. But it's based on, like, this is what we do. We do our picks. I like to back it up, and I like to put out the entire parlay. But anyway, no 9:30 game this week.
Thank goodness.
I like you. Wait, thank goodness.
Too early for me.
Brother, what time do you wake up on a Sunday?
Depends. Am I here or not here? Because either I'm on the air and I can't watch it, or it starts too early for me.
Dude, I will tell you, pre-child, pre-marriage, when I was living with my best friend Jimmy, there was nothing better than going out the night before, coming home at God knows what time. And you know you can never really sleep well when you feel that way. Even if you're not there for opening kickoff, 10:30 in the morning, you put on CBS or whatever network it's on, you got football already. I love that, man.
I'd like to ease my way
I'm
into
not
the
even
day.
talking about being a dad and being up at 5 in the morning. I'm talking about hungover football at 10 in the morning. That's awesome.
Ease my way into the day. I'll throw on countdown after I take a little walk, get some fresh air.
Okay. All right. Chargers at the Packers. I hate the Chargers with a burning passion. And I hate that I'm telling myself to do this. Chargers 3-point favorites at Lambeau. I'm taking the Chargers. I'm not saying go Pack, go. Go Chargers, go. Chargers cover the 3 against the Pack.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
They do cover the 3. Disgusting. Feel awful about it. Breaking a lot of rules here. Breaking my love for Jordan Love. Breaking my
anti-betting on the Chargers.
Yeah, everything. This goes against everything I believe in.
But I think the Chargers,
right move.
that offensive performance against the Lions, I think that offense kind of continues, which will add to my parlay. I would take the team total over for the Chargers as well, which is only 23.5, which I think is low for a team that can put up a lot of points. Like there's some team like the Dolphins, I'm pretty sure is 29.5. Right, which is crazy. The over-under in that game is 46.5 between the Raiders and Dolphins. The Dolphins team total is in the 30s, or 29.5. Chargers only 23.5. I think they can cover that. Titans, Jags. Jags 7-point favorites. I was talking to Tyrone in the back. I think the Jags cover. They come back. They got completely embarrassed last weekend, and the Titans stink. And I know we play. It's another rule that we're breaking. Never bet on or against the Titans because they seem to always shock the world, or they completely disappoint. But I think the Jags bounce back and take care of business. The Titans can't keep up with that offense if it's going well. But I think the Jags cover the 7.
So if this is a week of broken rules, I'll go right there with you because I agree with that one. And the Levis fun was cool. That was nice for the week and a half he had. Really, that was all about him. The Jaguars, I imagine they don't put up 2 clunkers in a row. And I can't imagine at home. I mean, I get it. It's Jacksonville. It's not exactly like, you're walking back into the link. But I can't imagine them blowing it at home again this week against the Titans.
I'm taking the Jags. Raiders at Dolphins. Dolphins 12.5-point favorites. Normally the rules tell you to lay it. I'm not going to sit here and say Aiden O'Connell's going to keep up with the.
I know you were all Aiden O'Connell up last week.
What happened?
They scored 16 points.
That coffee tasted tremendous. That's what happened.
Screw you.
I'm not touching a line that big against an unknown with the Raiders.
No interest in that one at all. The over-under to me, I was looking at it. Don't want to mess around with it. The Raiders, there's a chance the Raiders put up 10 points in this game. So I don't like any of it. Nothing to me there is fun.
Cowboys in Carolina. Panthers absolutely stink. Panthers 10.5 point Cowboys 10.5 point favorites. If I were one of those betting guys, I would wait to see if it drops to 9.5 first. I would wait to see if it drops to 9.5. I don't think it's ever going to swing that way because who's betting on the Panthers?
Great point.
But I would probably take the Cowboys to cover the 10.
Yeah. Oh, easily. This is like one for me where I can't. And I probably said something similar before the Cardinals game, so forgive me on this one. But
I don't think they let that happen again.
I don't either.
Cowboys are a very good football team.
Yes.
Eagles are better. Cowboys are a very good football team. Cardinals at the Texans. This is the game I really like. Houston, I got it at 4.5. It's now at 5.5. I think the Texans are going to stay hot. I think they had a clunker 2 weeks ago, which I was shocked by. They have a chance to still win their division, and the Cardinals stink. So I'm taking the Texans.
Give me the over.
48.5?
Yeah.
Think the Cardinals are going to put up points?
Yes.
All right.
Kyler back.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So
okay.
I'll take the points over on that one. Another one of those sucker high over-unders that I feel wrong for going with the over with. But 28-24, that gets me there.
Okay.
So
That's a good
I'll
point.
do it.
Steelers at the Browns. Dude, honestly, I'm thinking Steelers outright. But can I really bet on the Steelers, who are somehow 6-3?
Yes, you can. You can, and you will, and you should, because the Cleveland Browns have made another mistake. It's just a laundry list of mistakes made by this organization.
Not going with P.J. Tucker.
Well, P.J. Tucker would be quite the choice by them. P.J. Walker would be a fantastic choice. Yeah, P.J. Tucker.
Hey, maybe P.J. Tucker, because did you see who they're potentially bringing in? You want to talk about desperation?
Oh, no.
The Cleveland Browns, I saw a report on ESPN. They're going to work out Joe franchise quarterback Flacco.
My. I did see this. Yeah. That's, again, another mistake. Do I have to read the P.J. Walker starting quarterback in the NFL record to you? It's a winning record, folks.
Did you see who shot a shot on social media?
I did.
RG3 believes he could get them to the Super Bowl. Stop lying, dude. Remember earlier this year, he said that he had coaches tell him that he could still be in the league. Were you here for that?
I was. Yes, I do
Yeah,
recall.
stop lying, RG3.
Yeah.
I think he's a great analyst. Just stop lying, though. All right, so you're going Steelers outright?
Oh, yeah. Steelers, I mean, the cover, outright, the whole thing.
I'll ride with you.
DTR? Really?
Yeah,
really?
With TJ Watt on the other side? I'm with you. All right, let's go Steelers outright. Commanders, 9.5 point favorites against the Giants. I got it at 8.5. I would also take it at 9.5. I don't see the Giants keeping up.
We got Danny DeVito at quarterback.
Yeah, I don't see
Yeah, no, it's bad. So, yeah.
All right, Lions 7.5 point favorites against the Bears. Justin Fields will be back. The Lions secondary can be gashed. This is one of those, seriously, if you can get the Lions at 6.5, I would do that. I'm not touching 7.5. I don't like that extra half point. But maybe another team total over bet to be made. Yeah, I'm not touching.
Yeah, no, I'm not touching this one. I right now have the problem of having to deal with the fact that I have both Goff and Fields on a team, and I know I'm going to pick the wrong quarterback of the two of them in this game. So that's been more my concern this week looking at this game than anyone who's going to win.
You know
this
what?
one.
No, I actually did take Detroit 7.5 in my parlay, so take Detroit 7.5. It's weird that I'm second guessing myself after already putting in the bet, but Detroit.
Yeah, I'm
Lions,
sure you're the only person in history who's done that. Second guess the fact the bet they put
That's
down.
already
Yeah.
in. Niners at the Bucks, 11.5 point favorites are San Francisco. I would say take it. I think the Niners are back.
Too many points for me.
All right.
Too many points.
So are you
Don't
gonna,
like it.
Okay,
I know. I'm not going. Listen.
Still have to figure out the coffee bet.
We do have to figure out the coffee bet. We're running out of games here.
Bills, Jets. Bills 7 point favorites. Screw it. Jets, Jets. +7. Not outright, just +7.
You know what? You walked yourself right into this one.
Taking the Bills?
Give me the Bills.
All right.
-7.
All right, coffee bet it is.
Wow, I can't believe you're betting on Zach Wilson, man. I can't believe you would bet on a team
Not betting on
quarterback
Zach Wilson.
Sounds like it.
I'm betting on the Jets defense, baby.
No, you're betting on Zach Wilson.
Two interceptions for Josh Allen, one taken back to the house for a touchdown.
You're betting on Zach Wilson.
Seahawks.
No. You fold like a lawn chair here. Last week, you told me I was
defense. I'm betting on Robert Saleh, baby.
You told me I was crazy for going against Aiden O'Connell and the Raiders with Zach Wilson and the Jets. And you, not a week later, are now on the other side of this coffee bet with the Jets.
I'll see you on Monday.
I will see you on Monday. I look forward to the coffee. It's going to taste good.
Seahawks, Rams, pick 'em in L.A., so it's not like that's a long trip for Seattle by any means. Stafford's back. Man, he could be one hit away from going back out. Toss-up, pick 'em. I'll go Seattle.
Yeah, let's go Seattle. This one. One hit away means that you're one hit away from
Carson Wentz. Yes. Who I dropped from my fantasy team, by the way. I picked him up. He was on the squad.
Yeah, I know. That
for
was
a little bit.
Waste of a roster spot by you.
I mean, there was nobody else out there. Vikings, Broncos, 2.5-point favorites. I'm not doing Broncos country. Let's ride. I can't even bet against Josh Dobbs, so I ain't touching it.
Give me the Vikings +2.5.
All right.
Let's ride the Dobbs train into the night here.
All right, there's our picks on the wonderful FanDuel Sportsbook app. Love it. Okay. All right. What was I going to say?
That you bet on Zach Wilson this week?
Yeah. Oh, the parlay that I put together. Chargers money line. Because I did teasers. Chargers money line. Chargers team over. Jags money line. Brought the Dolphins down 6.5. Cowboys down to 6.5. Washington down to 6.5. I got, as I mentioned, Houston at 4.5. Took the Lions at 7.5. I don't think the Bears keep up. Brought the Niners down to 49.5 and took the over Seattle and Rams 46.5. And like a $5 bet gets you 4 something for funsies.
Yeah, for fun. A lot of fun in that one.
Yeah.
Last leg there with the over worries me with the Stafford health.
Yes.
And every time I think we've expected the Seahawks to put up points, they've disappointed us.
You're 100% correct.
So that's more of a vibe check on that last bet, other than real analytics and analysis.
You never
there.
bet the under.
No.
I got burned on that earlier this year.
No. I wasn't going to suggest an under. No. But yeah, overall, hey, man, I think you're going to be rich by the end of the week.
I don't think that's the case. Let's go to Glenn in Wallingford. What's up, Glenn?
Yo, what's up, boys?
How you doing?
Oh, good, man. Hey, I was going to chime in and just say, because I know Monday will be a very busy day. But you know what? And I heard you guys talking about it a little bit yesterday about, listen, the NFL is there's not a great team at this point, right? I mean, everyone's got the awards. So, I'm happy where we're at. You know what I mean? So, again, we'll just take it week by week. And, there's nobody, even in this gauntlet of a schedule, you take every game one at a time. There's no one that scares me, right? I mean, at the end of the day, they're not playing all 5 teams at once, right? So game by game, I feel good about whoever they play, and they kind of roll that good, that feel-good feeling. Same thing with the Sixers. And I think I mentioned it a couple of weeks ago before the season. I think you might have been off, Andrew. I think Ray was there.
Okay.
I think it might have been Tom. And anyway, I was saying, listen, I want to enjoy this season, right? And this first, dozen games I've enjoyed. They're fun to watch. They move the ball. And they're fun to watch. So it's just like, well, we'll see March, come March when they're moving into the playoffs, and we'll see what this team really looks like. But in the meantime, I'm enjoying it. Joel Embiid is, one of the top 3 Sixers.
He's playing
Sixers
so well this year, except for 2 games, and now people want to trade him.
Listen, I don't even entertain it because people are wacky. But, hey, I'm going to enjoy it. So no one's going to rain on my parade, boys.
All right, that's great. I appreciate the call, Glenn. Thank you. I got a couple minutes left. Pat in the Northeast has a funny story, he says. Let's go to Pat. What's up, Pat?
What's going on, Julius?
How you doing, brother?
This is Pat with the pizza from the Northeast.
Yeah, I know. You lifted the restrictions. I'm allowed back up there. I appreciate it. But you guys got a close eye on me. I know.
Water under the bridge, buddy. Yo, so I'm on a cruise. I just got back last night.
Okay.
Late last night. Anyway, I'm first day of the cruise. it's Saturday. I'm at the bar. Me and my daughter, her name's Sydney. We call her Sid Vicious. We've been calling her that all the time.
Okay.
Anyway, I'm wearing my B-Dog jersey at the bar. This dude comes up to me in a tiny little Kansas City Chiefs bathing suit on. And out of nowhere, just goes, "Hey, buddy, just want to let you know you guys are going to get your butt kicked this weekend."
Oh.
I turned to my 12-year-old daughter. I said, "Yo, Vicious, you want to answer this question for him?" She goes, "Dad, we don't even play them until next week." I said, "So, hey, buddy," I said, "number one, our record's 8-1. I said, number two, I said, do me a favor, be a little bit more informed than my 12-year-old daughter."
Yeah, exactly. You can't do that. You can't be coming up to you and
coming at me. So yeah, at the bar, I said, but it was funny. It was all well and good. But it's just like, you know what? And you know what else happened at the water slide? A Cowboys guy came up to me same day with the B-Dog jersey, and at least I can't stand the Cowboys, but at least he had enough decency to come up to me and say, "Yo, buddy, love the jersey. We hated him, but we wished we had him." And I said, I turned him like a good fan, and I said, "Listen, buddy, I appreciate you saying that. He was awesome, but we felt the same way about Emmitt Smith and about, you know what I mean?
About a million players, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So, but it was crazy. The Chiefs guy, man, you should have seen how short his bathing suit was, too, man. It was cold. But
he's going, 5-inch seams?
Yo, listen, one more thing. Yo, I know you have nothing to do with it. Yo, Dickie Dunn, you're doing a great job, but, yo, I miss Cuz, man. I miss him.
I hear you.
Tell him I said what's up, all right?
I will, Pat. I appreciate the call, man. I appreciate it. Yeah. All right. Yeah, you can't be trying to talk smack and have the wrong dates and all that kind of stuff. Now, maybe on the cruise, maybe he was boozing a little bit. You know, he said he was at the bar. So maybe that could have been it.
Probably a good chance of that.
Yeah. Mistakes happen. But, yeah, you can't talk smack and have the wrong stuff going on. All right, that'll do it on this Football Friday. We will be back on Monday. And on Monday, we will be doing a Football Monday pregame show. And then I'll do the pregame show as well. But, yeah, Monday, Eagles-Chiefs. Second half of the season kicks off for the Birds. Everybody have a great time this weekend. Ray, what do you got going on this weekend? What's the shift for you, or are you off?
7 to 10 Saturday, 9 to noon Sunday.
All right, so make sure you listen to Ray. 7 to 10 on Saturday, 9 to noon on Sunday. 7 to 10 morning or p.m.?
PM.
All right, 7 to 10 p.m. Everybody have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you on Monday.
Fanatic Sports Update.
Another weekend without the Birds. I'm Ray Dunn. This update is brought to you by Bradford White Water Heaters. May always need a new water heater, but when you do, choose Bradford White. Still waiting for Eagles football. End up being 15 days between games as we await the Birds' return from the bye. It'll be Monday night in Kansas City against the Chiefs on Monday Night Football. As for practice this week, Jalen Hurts did not wear a brace at practice on Thursday. Bradley Roby and Cam Jurgens were both full participants in practice on Thursday. Tim McManus joined the show earlier at noon to talk all things Eagles. Get you set for the big matchup on Monday night. You catch that conversation one more time at 97.5thefanatic.com. Elsewhere in football, the Ravens beat the Bengals